But girl, you look pretty, Casey. I like your makeup.
Don't she
Thank
look
you.
cute?
I'm channeling Donna Summer tonight.
You're channeling somebody.
No, Beyonce, whoever you want to, Oh shoot, are we live? My
I
bad.
think we are.
Yeah.
So I think you should,
Relax.
get prepared. Yeah, it definitely says we're live. So I'm just checking just to make certain because and we should be live on both YouTube and Facebook. So for anyone that's watching, we should be live on both channels. But we're going to go ahead and get started just because, we have, a lot to cover. So greetings, everyone, and welcome to this installment of the Tequila Tales. I am your host, Isaac Paul. I want to thank you all, first and foremost, for tuning in this evening. This beautiful, muggy weather that we have going on here in Chicago. But we've got people from all over. So, it's not to, I'm aware that everybody's not experiencing overcast right now, but it's rather crappy in Chicago. But we're inside, we're warm, we're healthy. So again, greetings. For those of you all that have never participated in the Tequila Tales, or if you don't know what the Tequila Tales is, the Tequila Tales is a highly engaging and fully interactive discussion on love and relationships. It is not a panel discussion. Even though we have some individuals that are going to be joining us and obviously adding their insight and their opinions on a bunch of topics, it's not a panel discussion. And what I mean by that is with the Tequila Tales, our motto has always been, with love, we all have a story to tell. And so that's kind of the lane that we try to navigate into is us all openly sharing our stories, whatever they may be. We have some ground rules, not many, really just one. It's just one ground rule, and it's just that of respect. Respect, right? Respect. Now, what does respect look like? Respect meaning, first and foremost, respecting the microphone as much as possible. We understand that these conversations can become heated sometimes, and not even just heated, but they can become very boisterous. But as one of my old teachers used to say, we can all sing together, we can all talk together. And so just so that you all know, I like to out her for being the one that's in control of the soundboard, but Casey is in control of the soundboard. So on occasion, you may arbitrarily get muted. It's not because she doesn't care what it is that you have to say. It's just her attempting to maintain some balance so that the people that are viewing can, receive the conversation. But it's respecting, obviously, one another in that regard, but it's also just respecting our ideals, our beliefs, and just kind of the whole nine. Our former president, Obama, used to say, we can learn to disagree without being disagreeable. And so that's kind of our space. However, let me let you know, or let me share what respect does not look like. Respect does not mean agreement. I will repeat that. Respect does not mean agreement. So if it becomes too kumbaya in this room, I will play devil's advocate. If it becomes too kumbaya in this virtual room, I will play devil's advocate. And the dope part about it is you'll have no idea when I'm playing devil's advocate because I will vehemently argue a point. So that being said, we're going to go ahead and let's just take a look and see who is sharing this space with me, who's in the room as of this point. We have, we got some more people that have popped in. And we have some more people that'll be popping in, I'm certain, throughout the evening. But, how's everybody doing?
Good. And also you have to unmute yourself. Some of you are muted and you don't even realize it. So
okay. So I've been told that I have a tendency to be loquacious, right? We and if you follow the Tequila Tales at all, you know that this is a fact. So I'm gonna go ahead and just jump right into the topic so that I can hear from you guys. So the topic is 9/12, the day after. Okay. So I'll just read what the synopsis is. Never forget. A phrase coined after the multiple terrorist attacks on September 11, 2001, that was intended to conjure feelings of compassion, condolence, and encouragement for one of the largest shared traumatic experiences in recent American history. And while the pain we experienced and the memories of those we lost are still relevant, for the most part, America resiliently pushed forward. Similarly, in life, we often find ourselves having to show that same ability to bounce back after an experience that's left us in shambles. Also, on the flip side, we learn that life continues on after we've achieved a major accomplishment as well. The bottom line is life moves on. But what happens after the credits roll? So the first topic, I'm not even going to read what this first topic is called, but it's actually considered shock and awe. I'll just give you the saved version. So shock and awe. So for those of us that are past a certain age, September 11, 2001 will forever be etched in our memory banks. There are so many different emotions that we associate to that period: fear, sadness, anxiety, depression, the list goes on and on. But one that is incredibly poignant, but oftentimes overlooked, is the pure shock of it all. Just the pure shock. And I don't know how many of you all remember that word, like shocked, because it feels like in 2020, it takes a lot to actually get us shocked anymore. On one of our most, a matter of fact, I think it was our most recent podcast, Omar said that he hasn't raised his eyebrows since March, right? Basically saying that like this year has been so intense that like does anything surprise you anymore? So that's where we'll begin this discussion, right? In shock and awe. So where I will start is I'll ask the group, when is the last time that you can say that something legitimately shocked you? When's the last time you could say that you were legitimately shocked by something?
Ooh, it's been a while.
It's been a while,
Yeah.
right? Yeah, it's
Agreed.
been a while.
I think I was kind of shocked when Trump won the election. I did not expect that.
Yeah.
I just thought grabbing people by their vagina was enough, but apparently it wasn't. So yeah, that particular night caught me off guard a little bit.
Yo, I was shocked after I watched that Joe Exotica crap. So I couldn't believe that this was real life and that this was actually happening. And there was really someone named Carol Baskin who killed her husband, and she has not been convicted. The entire story was
she's about to be on Dancing with the Stars.
Dancing with the Stars,
I
yeah,
know,
that's right.
like you guys do know, like she potentially fed her husband to her tiger. So like,
Right.
You
and
cool
she's on
cats
that
and
shit.
kittens are about to get an eyeful of Carol
Okay,
Baskin.
that entire story was extremely bizarre. So I'm still shocked that this is something. And he even asked Trump for a pardon because he's been getting brutally raped. And if I'm confused. Like
Yeah.
Now that much even I didn't know.
Yeah, this was recent.
Okay. So
Well,
I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, I must say, I have a very difficult time being shocked about anything I have no control over. So as was mentioned earlier, the Trump presidency did not shock me. It's interesting. I'm from the East Coast. I've been in Illinois going on with 26 years. But, the 9/11 really hit close to home for me because a lot of friends, maybe by the grace of God, whatever, who just so happened did not travel into New York that day for appointments and things such as that. I don't know if you saw the scene where the subway that actually its route ends under the World Trade Center, that is actually the subway I used to commute into New York.
Oh, wow.
So it was something that really hit home when I saw that particular scene and everything that transpired afterwards.
Okay. So
my bad. I think that man, shock. When you talk about shock and awe, I think about I'm behind the train with this whole situation. It took me a little longer than a lot of my friends, but the whole Jeffrey Epstein documentary that came out, like I was literally just like, wow, this is insane. Just in the sense of not the actual just the fact that like the government and all of the players involved in the whole situation and how it took so long to really capture this guy and I don't know. I'm still at this point in 2020, I'm still trying to wrap my head around how it all happened and hearing so many different gaps within the story and like, did he commit suicide? Was he killed? Like for it to be, for him to be in this cell and for everything to randomly like, okay, the cameras went out, the guards were asleep. Like, what you mean?
Right. None of it, like, and also Lex, I'm sorry to cut you off, but like the fact that it's not the biggest story on the planet and did not like remain in the news for months and months goes to show you like how crazy things are right now.
And I think piggying off of you with Casey and Lex is that collective, and I know there's probably like a million more stories you can add to it, but between that and Trump, and I feel like the level of cover up and lies and things that go into like it's mind blowing to me.
Yeah.
Kobe died this year, guys. Did we forget about Kobe Bryant? Come on.
Listen, and we mourned for what, a few weeks, and then and Kobe is huge. He was larger than life, but then boom, the next thing happens. COVID came, and it was like,
y'all, we lost Black Panther.
Yes,
we did.
Yeah,
it's been.
Yeah, that was a definite shock for sure. For sure.
Like shocks to the system, just one shock after the other. I can't remember a year like this ever.
Yeah.
I mean, we've had like 100 Watergates in 1 year.
Right.
Like Watergate was huge. There's been like hundreds of books written about it, and we're literally having a Watergate at least 5 or 6 a month.
And it feels like it's impossible to recover from all of it, because it's like the second that one thing happens, there's something to fall on top of it. And so it's like, it almost just feels like there's a numbness to anything that's to come in the future.
Yeah. Well, yeah, Macaulay Culkin turned 40, right? Was that shocking to anyone?
Okay, so
he didn't make the list.
Right. So that didn't shock me, but it made me feel a little older than I.
Old as hell. Yeah.
Man.
So, what's interesting is that, with the news cycle, it's all about, what is I guess we use the word shock. What is the shock of the day? So the news cycle continues, as you mentioned earlier on, Isaac, the band plays on. So you're looking for the next story that is going to, in essence, shock the world. So that's the reason why things such as Kobe's loss and, loss of some of the other icons just basically is glossed over, because each day there's something that the news cycle is trying to wrap their arms around to get readers, if you will.
Okay, so I've got a question. And kind of adding with the whole shock and all, and to make it a little bit more even personal. Can anyone think of a time where they should have seen something coming, but they totally did not? Like, I want to know what that thing was. Something that you should have seen coming. In hindsight, you're like, damn it, how did I miss that? Like, I should have seen this coming.
Okay, so this happened in my early 20s, so I get a pass. But
okay.
My boyfriend.
No,
it's my boyfriend at the time broke up with me, and I feel like I should have seen it coming. But I was so desperate to make sure that it didn't happen that I just kind of ignored all of the red flags or the things that were clearly obvious, that it was like, this has run its course. So that genuinely shocked me. But I mean, if I was being honest with myself back then, probably not.
Almost like if you give a prostitute money at 3 a.m. to go get drugs and she doesn't come back, that shouldn't shock you that just happened, right? Like, you should have saw that coming.
Can we not do this today?
Well, I mean, that's the truth, right? That's a reality for a lot of people. She's like, I'll be right back. I'm going to get, I know a guy. She doesn't come back. So you just sitting at the hotel room waiting, right? You shouldn't be shocked by that.
No.
You should know that was going to happen.
No, probably not. But you know what, though, Casey? You actually jumped to what the direct next question was, right? Because I kept it broad at first, but the next question was, has anyone ever been broken up with out of the blue? Like, I'm curious about that. Like, because I have my thoughts about that, well, we'll just keep the question there first. Like, obviously you shared that you have been, Casey. Has anyone else ever been broken up with or broken up with someone out of the blue?
Okay, so define out of the blue.
See,
thank you,
So
Brittany.
Is it we only talked about this shit one time and now you being all reactive and having a tantrum? Or is it we've never talked about it? This is an issue that's never been discussed. In your mind, you've been arguing with me about it, but we haven't talked about it. and you just split and I'm completely confused. It's almost like you just ghosted me. So which one? What's the out of the blue?
I'm kind of not saying, right? Because I guess it depends on your interpretation, right? Like Casey just shared a situation where she admits to feeling like she should have seen it coming, but it felt like it was out of the blue for her. So that's kind of the space that I'm coming in. Like if it felt like it was out of the blue, like it totally blindsided you. You thought we were good. And it's like, oh shit, like, man, we ain't even get to the counseling stage first. Like, it's just kaput. You just, has this ever happened to anyone? Or does anyone want to admit? Can anyone admit that this happened, right?
I feel like nobody wants to admit it.
That's happened to me.
That's a better question.
Yeah.
Okay. Vanessa.
I've done the other end. Like I broke up with someone, and there was no pre-discussion. There's no like follow-up. There was no like issues, if you want to say, that would have led to any kind of, maybe this isn't working out. We didn't even talk about that. He asked me to marry him. Like we were like in it. And I don't want to do this anymore.
Oh shit. Like this isn't it for me. Sorry.
Maybe not.
No, that's not right.
I don't want.
That's not right. Vanessa, what happened to you? What happened? What you do?
Like, okay, happy ending of the story. My now fiance. So he was previously married, and he's like, I can't do this. Like, you're reminding me a lot of my ex. No girl wants to hear that.
Okay, Usher.
And right. So, and he's like, I can't. And I'm like. So he lived in Florida at the time, and I flew out there in my own money to see him. And he's like, yeah, we got to break out. I still had 3 days left there. What am I supposed to do now?
So he couldn't even just enjoy the time and then break up with you on your way out.
Right. I'm calling her like, Lynn, what am I supposed to do? Like, I'm like, girl, I don't know. He broke up with me. I don't know what to do. Like,
girl, you got to pay them change fees. You got to go.
Right. And I'm also like, he could have broken up with you over the phone so that you could have spent that money on like a little trip somewhere.
Right. I guess he was probably like balls deep because you had already bought the ticket. So it was like, you might as well come, but I don't want to kick it the whole time. He's a bastard.
I would be mad. Because you could have been shaking your ass in Miami or somewhere else.
Right.
Your mother failed you. You could at least have some courtesy.
Right.
Like, where's your home training?
I was like, dude, what am I supposed to do now? I'm already here. I got 3 days
so
left.
He's your fiance now.
We worked it out.
I have to understand how this worked out.
Right.
How do you recover from that?
Brittany? There's a lot of questions, Brittany.
Did he pay you for your ticket and your change fees first?
He has.
Okay.
But like he was freaking out because he was previously married, and he was like, I don't want to go through the same thing, which I get. And when we first started dating, I came super real with him. And I was like, I'm not going to be fake. I'm not going to get you to like me and be like, we're going to start dating and you like me and you love me. And then I start flipping the switch and I'm like, here's the real me. I'm like, I'm going to give you the real me 100% right now. Mm-hmm. And he's like, I'm glad that you did that because his ex was not like that. She was crazy and everybody told him she was crazy. Everybody likes me. All of his friends, his parents, everybody likes me. And I was like, I'm a likable person. Like, but I'm going to be 100% with you. I'm going to be like, this is me. And if you don't like me, we don't have to date. But if you do, we can keep this going. And so he was like, no, it's worth it. But it took a minute for him to get there.
Yeah.
Vanessa, question.
Yeah.
He was saying that you reminded him of his ex, but was he treating his ex like he treated you when he had you wasting your money to go up there just to break up with you? Like, was this really a him thing? Or was it truly like you remind him of her? Or is he playing the same game?
She has tendencies, from what I've heard, she has tendencies like his ex, from what he's told me. And so, and I think I met him through her, so that's how she knows. A lot of it stems from some experiences that she's had in her past, because she got a story about the red flags too, that she could tell, that I told her. I could write a book. She was dating some dude who was on some bullshit, and I told her he was on some bullshit, and she didn't want to listen to me. Come to find out, homeboy was married. And I was like, girl, I told you.
They're always married.
But I told her, but I knew, so like I was a law degree major in college. So I was like, I can look up all of your stuff. And I had friends that they're like, you need me to do a background check? I was like, no, it's fine. Don't do it. And finally I was like, do a background check, do it. So she gave me his cars. She gave me his kids. She gave me who he was married to, everything. And I was like, so I found your marriage certificate. You got married at this date, at this time, to this person. You need to tell me something? He's like, no. I said, you sure? He's like, no. What are you talking about? I said, I got you. But
I feel like you are giving us your life story. I hope he's cool with like all of the details.
Oh, he knows everything. He lived around the corner from him. He knew him. Her ex and him, like, it's a long story. I could go on and on.
I want to fight.
I don't want to waste your time with all of this.
I want to fight him to this day. I haven't seen. The Lord has blessed his life because I have not seen him. But
the protective friend tries
so many things, but long story short, things have worked out. We've moved on. He told me his issues. We worked it out. But yeah, like out of the blue, he's just like, yeah, we're done. I'm like,
that's rough.
Go home. Yeah. I'm in Florida. It's 90,000 degrees. Like, what am I supposed to do? So
tough break.
So I'm curious so we're talking about being blindsided, right?
Actually,
and something that I'm sorry, go ahead.
I'm sorry to interrupt, but there was a story that Jessica posted in our VIP group. I don't know if you saw that, Isaac.
I don't think I did. Go for
it. Basically, this young lady, she was with a guy who was in prison for 8 years and was like building his business the whole time. And then as soon as he got out, I don't know if it was as soon as he got out, but he got out. He said during that time he didn't want to get married. He got out. He broke up with her eventually, and then ended up engaged to someone else. But I think I was asking a lot of questions in that scenario, like how quickly after he got out did they break up? Like, I think it was like, how dare he just break up with her and date someone else and then want to marry her? But sometimes you get out of prison and you're someone else. Like you know, I don't know much about prison. I haven't gone myself, but I imagine that you're someone
else. But you dated
else.
a lot of guys that have been in prison, so you understand the plight. Is
a lot of ex-convicts in my history.
Well, you know what? So I don't know if you all have ever watched a show, but there is a show called Love After Lockup.
Oh my God.
And it is literally people dating people who are in prison currently. And every time they get out of prison and they're like, girl, yeah, I'm going to marry you. And then they're like, well, I ain't had sex in a long time. So I went back and met this woman at like one of the stories that I saw earlier today. He had found a woman at a hotel job. He was like cleaning at a hotel and he met this other woman and he ended up fucking her and cheating on his girlfriend who was like 50 and he was like in his 20s. So, you know, I feel like that whole being blindsided by someone who just got out of prison, maybe has been there for a while, like that should not be a blindside. Like that should almost be expected.
Yeah. If we kind of roll backwards though, I feel like being with somebody that's in prison when you are not a wife is just, it doesn't make sense to me. It just seems like you're hustling backwards. And I also am related to a lot of people who are in prison or formerly incarcerated. So I know the game, you know, it's like, see who you can contact and see, you know, who's going to put money on your books.
Has anybody told Monica that?
For you when you get out, like it's all a hustle. I would not recommend.
Jacinta, what did you just say?
I said, did anybody tell Monica that?
Listen, Monica is dedicated.
Monica's also had
was married and visiting him, so she already had 2 situations going on.
Nah,
it's a mess.
But you know what?
Hold on. I think Quan was about to chime in.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was just saying, you know, I know it's a lot of ain't shit men out there, but I feel like we're talking about a lot of guys on this topic, but I think on the other side, women, you guys are really good at like out of the blue. It has happened to me personally, but I've seen it a lot, like out of the blue. They just like, oh, I'm not talking to you anymore. I have another guy. Like so many scenarios. So I got the man. I got our back on this one. You know? There's a lot of ain't shit men, but it's the women. Y'all good at doing that.
I need to hear proof.
Sure.
So far, it's just like, you know.
Hey, Quan. Hey, Quan, what would you say the ratio is, right? Of like ain't shit women to ain't shit men. And I know this is a non-scientific poll, but just, you know,
completely
if you had
unscientific because it's not proven.
50-50.
Women don't get caught.
20. Oh yeah, they don't get caught.
Point
They are
taken.
better at it. Yeah, but
That's
20,
a
I say
point.
about 50-50. It's about half
Right.
and half. They're just as good, but they're better, so it could be more. You know what I mean?
I
We
think
just not
I
good at
agree
it.
with you, Quan. I think it's 50-50. I think a lot of dudes don't openly talk about all the ancient women they're dealing with because they feel foolish versus women. We kind of are more vocal and open about talking about the ancient dudes, putting them on blast.
Yeah.
But a lot of dudes, I'm sure, are sitting around like licking their wounds, not even wanting anyone to know.
Right.
Yeah.
A lot of these wounds are from like junior high and high school, though. Like, let's
That part.
Nah, but also it's just different tactics. Men have way different tactics than women do. And I think ours sometimes hit the feelings a little bit more than maybe women's hit ours. So I think it's just the way we go about doing things.
Yeah, and we're not gonna be vocal like, oh, this girl, she broke my heart, she did this to me. You just won't know about it. You know what
Well,
I mean? But
how do you heal from that trauma? Because if y'all aren't talking about
Heal?
a shitty one, it goes back to Tina's point of this is from high school,
Right.
maybe college.
Wait a minute, Aisha, heal? What's that mean?
Right, I know. I'm sorry. I forgot my
We
audience.
shove that shit down. We shove it down. We just, you know, we gonna let it build up until it explodes.
They act like they
that's how we
heart
handle
wasn't broken.
I mean, that's why a lot
Nothing.
of guys cheat.
What? You
Right.
think that's why guys cheat?
That's why a lot of them cheat, because if they got their heart broken, you know, something happened, they're like, all right, you know what? You know, all these for the rest of my life, I'm about to just be a dog
I
or
just said
whatever.
the same.
Like, she broke my heart. That's how it happens.
why
you know?
even get into
That's how they heal from it, I guess.
Yo, Jacinta space is
It
everything
is
right now.
everything.
It's everything.
Look,
She's
I'm listening
like-
to y'all. I'm trying to reset this watch. I'm just like,
Well,
I'm
it's a
verklempt.
lot for you, Jacinta. I know.
It is because I feel like the ratio, men like to blow up lives. They'll blow up their whole families, you know, for like a 20-year-old with no credit and a hairline back here. Y'all know me and the hairline. It's a big deal. So I don't know. I don't see a whole lot of women doing that. But if you listen to Reddit, you think every woman's the worst. Bunch of incels.
Okay.
All right.
So one of the points though that I think Brittany made, that was something that I was going to broach a moment ago was, okay, so we talk about the potential of being blindsided, but then it's also can we attribute any of that responsibility to the person that's being duped, right? And you know, that's why I was asking, like, when this occurs, is one party truly blindsided, or do you believe that they were just ignoring the signals, right? Or just not tapped in at all? Because I kind of feel like sometimes people can have a luxury of not having to be emotionally tapped into their partner. And so it's not that the situation didn't exist, that, you know, they haven't given you all kinds of breadcrumbs. It's just that because your personal needs were met, you weren't paying attention to what was happening outside of you, you know? So I'm just curious to know, like, and that's why I asked at first, had it happened to anyone personally? Because, you know, this is something that maybe you could personally speak on, like, oh no, I was very tapped in and this nigga just bounced. You know what I mean? Like, if it's that situation, it's cool. But every time I hear a situation, you know, especially like even something that has been going, and a few of you all even broached it, and it was where I was gonna go, ghosting. Like, I didn't realize how rampant this shit was, right? Like I understand ghosting on some levels, but it's niggas out here ghosting after like 4 or 5 months of like intense interaction, sex, and then all of a sudden they just like parachute out, right? And so when I'm hearing these situations, I'm you know, when my women friends are telling me this, all I'm thinking is let's stop bullshitting. Like, all right, it's something you're not telling me because that doesn't logically make sense, right? Like, y'all been vibing, sex is great, no conflict. All of a sudden, nigga just, Carmen Sandiego all of a sudden, right? And now I'm supposed to think like, oh yeah, it's just he ain't shit dude. Like, is he ain't shit dude? Or was it something that he kept saying and that he kept trying to get you to see that you just refused to see, right?
No,
Brittany, go ahead.
No, I just honestly think that a lot of men, they like that intense relationship, you know what I mean? But only for a short period of time. And then they want to move on to somebody else. And so for them, they've lived this lie, like feeding into this emotion with this woman. So there's no way he can just out of the blue have a conversation and say, you know what, we're moving too fast. I think we need to scale it back and be friends. Because he was just last night talking about how much he just loved her from here to the fucking moon. So I feel like a lot of men, they play this game and they just be in these moments, in these relationships just for the moment. And then they just, boom, Carmen Sandiego, a motherfucker, and then move on to the next person.
Listen, okay, so before we move on, so Aisha had an idea a few episodes ago, and I think we never implemented it, but I desperately want to now because Carmen Sandiego keeps coming up.
Is that our drinking word?
Yes. So she wanted to start a drinking word. So this is the Tequila Tales, and obviously most of us are drinking. It's Saturday night, so hopefully you have a vice of choice. But if a word is said, everyone takes a drink of whatever they're drinking. So Carmen Sandiego, this may literally just be the only time we ever talk about it, but I thought it was hilarious.
I can find a way to bring it up.
Okay.
Absolutely. Carmen Sandiego has a lot of uses.
I used to love that show.
Creative. Me too.
Isaac, I was one of those people that was blindsided.
Go ahead.
So, I mean, he did warn me. He kept mentioning it.
You were not blindsided then. If you start off by saying I was blindsided.
But I thought it was a joke, Aisha. And when I say what it is, I want you to tell me if you still feel the same way.
Okay.
So he used to joke about it a lot. He would bring it up. We would argue over this one thing. And then when it happened, he broke up with me out of the blue. He used to joke with me, if you gained weight, I'm going to dump you. I thought it was a joke. My dad dies. I gain 4.5 pounds from the grief. And he dumps me.
Wow. You were dating an asshole, but also he was clearly an asshole.
What do you mean?
Yeah, I should have looked at the warning signs. They were glaring in my face, but I still was blindsided because I didn't think that was real.
I have a lot of questions.
Yeah.
I think, okay, so my question though is if that's the actual, because 4.5 pounds is barely noticeable. So I wonder if that was an excuse and he wanted to break up for a different reason.
Well, he wanted to break up so that he could get with a MAGA woman.
Oh, right. Didn't see that.
A white woman that was acceptable to his family in Ohio.
So you weren't blindsided. I think that
I was blindsided because I was literally grieving. And so I didn't see or hear anything. And my grandma said, please don't make any major emotional decisions. Because I said, hey, I'm thinking about breaking up with him. And she said, you're in your grief right now. You're not really seeing things clearly. How about you just wait till it dissipates a little bit so that you can see the full picture.
I gotta go with Casey.
I missed everything.
I gotta go with Casey. How did he know that 4.5 pounds is not noticeable? Did he put you on a scale every day to weigh you piece of meat at the market? How did you know, right?
I think I looked a little puffy. I admit.
Honestly, Jacinta, when you're grieving, your partner has to either step up to the plate for you emotionally or they step back. And so I think that's really what it was. They weren't able to give you what you needed in that moment. And he realized it and he did you a favor.
Yeah, he was.
But he was also an asshole. Let's be very
he was an asshole.
Yeah. Now we're gonna break up regardless.
Even
not
my
about the
white
MAGA
friends call
part.
him the mayonnaise liar.
Jacinta, I hate to ask this because it doesn't matter.
Yes, he was. I know what you're
However,
gonna ask.
he was
The
he.
white guy, yeah.
They call him a mayonnaise liar. Even the white girls that I'm friends with call him the mayonnaise liar.
Oh, you still know, dude? Like y'all kick it?
Oh, no.
Oh,
Absolutely.
Thank you.
No,
Thank you.
no. Usually when I'm done with
about?
somebody, I'm fully done. I don't
Do you think he came
all I
around
somebody
maybe because-
accidentally, or maybe not an accident, mentioned his MAGA wife to me, and I was like, oh, for real? Okay.
So
Better
he
her than
married her?
me.
He married her too?
He did marry her.
Was she 12 pounds?
okay.
Well, you know, for a lot of them, it doesn't matter because they age.
All
Like,
right.
But I
But
think
how'd
that
she
like
look, though?
a
How
good
did she
point
look?
about that is that you realized, and you were going through something extremely traumatizing, losing a parent, and you realized that this partner wasn't there for you. So I think that a lot of times relationships, you're going to go through something, and how your partner rises to the occasion really can impact you, and it teaches you a lot. I think that especially relationships right now during COVID, we're going through something extremely stressful and traumatizing with people. Whether it's friends or romantic. And I think that this is showing people how they really, some people have been together, never had issues, and all of a sudden they're in the house together and they're like, I don't know who the fuck this is. I think Will and Jada, outside of the entanglement, they talked about this earlier on where they didn't even know each other.
Mm-hmm.
wait, can I tell y'all the last thing he said to me though, just for a laugh?
Okay.
He said, now you can eat all the French fries you want.
Oh,
Jacinta,
Oh.
what a
No, he
douche.
But
Oh,
he
he's
knew,
a
he
fucking
truly knew that that
No
was your
way.
thing, right?
Oh,
He
man.
knows that your weight is an issue. So he's
Wow.
like basically
He knew it was
Let me try tearing
triggering.
down my way out.
He's like, you don't have to starve yourself anymore. You can
not him anytime.
Okay, wait a minute.
He
Okay,
like-
okay, wait a minute. Okay,
He
just
did you
okay.
a favor.
So
Right.
yeah, and you know,
But what
I
is
hate
his
to be-
name? Put him on blast. Put him in the
Girl,
chat.
no,
on
don't give him
Facebook.
any airtime.
Yeah, it ain't
No.
even about that. But
That's to us.
I am. You know, when I hear about moments like this, right? Like it's so dual fold to me because on one level, you know, I've got a side that I'm acutely aware of that I call the warrior, and only a few people have seen it. It's not cute when it shows up. Always shows his ass, but you know, I like his presence. Anyway, so I know that I have the ability to be reckless in moments of anger, and I can want vengeance, right? So yeah, well, you know, I hear a situation like this, I hear like, oh man, yeah, like I'm on some Britney shit. Yeah, let's put him on blast. Or oh man, if I seen a nigga like that out in the street, you know, like that type of shit. But then there's another piece that goes, and I'm just curious in terms of your assessment of it now, Jacinta. And this is my question to you directly. Like, and this is not to be cliche. When you look back on that though, do you honestly like is there any trauma that you've held onto as a result of that, or is your
100%.
interpretation now like I'm so glad that I don't have to deal with a person that's this fucking superficial, and like because there's something about that type of individual like that I find so incredibly unattractive, right? And I mean in women. Like if I'm dealing with a woman, the moment I see that side in them, like I'm physically unattracted to them at that point, right? Like it's like, ooh, like, you on that? Like, so I'm just curious to know, like, as it relates now, do you understand not just from a girl empowerment, like, yeah, I deserve better, but do you understand like how weak of a nigga he is to say some shit like that, and then to take a jab at you on the back end like that? He is a supreme asshole. Like that is I like what's your takeaway from that? Like, yeah.
I think for me, so it's two things. One, I look back at the person who was in that relationship, and I can't believe that person stayed for so long, especially when she had a better option, who was there for me when my dad passed away and was taking me out on therapeutic hikes and things. So yes, but he tapped into my insecurities because I've always had like I know I don't have physical issues with my weight. I know it's body dysmorphia. So he really tapped into that, and it, you know, it wrecked me in that area. But do I regret being with him? No, it served a purpose. You know, you gotta live in a variety of places to figure out where you really want to live and what you really like and what you're willing to put up with versus compromise with versus like just not deal with it all. And I think that's one of those relationships that was a defining moment for me, trying to figure out what I wanted in a partner and what I could never put up with again, because there was a lot of stuff that happened that I never said a word about, that most people don't know anything about and I've never said. But it's definitely colored how I look at men and how I deal with them, and like the traits that I see that he had that other men share. And there I've found yeah, and it's, you know how people are like, oh, you always date your dad, and I was like, wow, he didn't have any traits that my, like positive traits that my dad had, and maybe I need to start seeking out people with those kinds of traits. But yeah, it was really demoralizing, and it really sucked. But you know, now I can have French fries in my air fryer.
Hey. No, that's right, girl. Eat them French fries.
Right.
Has anybody in the room been the person who wasn't there for someone when they went through something? Because I've been in that position. This is years ago. And I was like in a situationship with this dude. Casey knows who this dude was in Arizona. And his friend was actually murdered. And obviously I didn't know that this was why he was calling me in the middle of the night, but the guy that I was in a more serious relationship with was visiting me at the time. So I didn't answer the call. And when I heard the voicemail and found out the next day, he had called me. I was the first person he called, and I wasn't there for him when he was going through something extremely tragic. And the second person he called is who he is now married to. And so we were like in this weird situationship. And so it became this thing with our relationship at the time that he was like, when I needed you, you weren't there. And I was like, the dude that had a higher rank than you was in town. Like, I didn't know why you were calling in the middle of the night, but that was something that kind of stuck with me, where I was like, damn, this person who I really liked, they needed me and I didn't know, and I was young, and you know, it was the reason why our relationship pivoted. And it was like, this person was there for me. And I think men, and obviously there's men on this call, I mean, on the, you know, in the chat, y'all can tell us, but for him, loyalty and being there for him when he needed me meant so much to him. And for me, I was like, I kept thinking like, oh, there's other ways that I've shown up for you. But for him, and he was like, as a man, in this one moment I needed you, you weren't there, and I can't like ever pretend, like I can't get past it. And he felt a lot of loyalty to a woman who was there and answered the phone.
That's a lot of responsibility for somebody that's not your girlfriend. I'm just
right. I was just gonna say that, you know, there's really nothing wrong with that.
It wasn't hella casual. It wasn't like a fling. It was like,
but you weren't his girlfriend, and
he wasn't short, number one. Right. Yeah, I agree with you, Tina Marie.
He was my aesthetic number one. Visually, he was number one.
Girl, because you was laid up with somebody.
That girlfriend treatment.
Think about it.
You gave him that girlfriend treatment.
But like, Brittany, let me say this. My resume boyfriend was in town, and he was visually he was like, you live in my state, but my resume is in town, and the resume he was still an asshole. He, you know,
okay, yeah, you know,
but still, it was like, oh, I'm so sorry to have you feel like number two.
I'm just saying, Aisha, like, you shouldn't feel bad about that, because honestly, even though, you know, you guys had more than what you would consider to be a fling, he still looked at you a little greater than you looked at him. Because if you were laid up with anybody else, you'd have got up and took that call. You'd have been like, you don't normally call me this late. What's up?
No, I wouldn't have answered it at all. I mean, I don't even answer like my friends' calls.
And And at the end of the day, he had a number two, like he had a backup. So that lets you know
bitch.
the level of
Right.
seriousness.
So what are we talking about?
Right. Yeah, like obviously wasn't too strong that he felt like, you know, he didn't call her first. Like, let's just put that out.
Right.
Can I also just say, just because I feel petty right now, he also hit me up randomly a couple years ago and was like, so you're not going to wish me a happy birthday? I was like, I haven't talked to you in years. Like, what?
You know what?
That's just petty.
What situationship is even hitting anybody up saying
Where's
that?
his wife at? Right, absolutely.
What kind of
You call me and tell
situationship
me
is
happy
that?
birthday should not grow.
What kind of situationship is that?
I left the
They getting in
message
a-
on unread. It was like, it gave me more gratification so that he would be like, oh, you never even opened it. But I was like, I wanted to be like, talk to your wife, talk to your number two. There's a lot of number twos out there and they're married and happy. Like,
yeah. So, you know, I think it was it Aisha who was asking like the men's perspective on this? I would like to hear what their thoughts were when she was talking.
Wait a minute. Okay, wait a minute. What was the overarching question?
The question was about loyalty in terms of when you go through something and you need that person to be there, you sometimes will put more weight into the person who's shown you loyalty over maybe who you're more attracted to or who you had more chemistry with. Loyalty means a lot more, I think, to men sometimes than it can mean to women.
Okay. Yeah, I can definitely say that.
Have any of the men been through anything? Have you needed somebody?
Okay, so I've experienced it, right? Like I've experienced it on a few different levels because I'm kind of an anomaly to in a small degree. Like, man raised by a lot of strong Black women, right? So you know, that means that my EQ is very high, right, for a man. But I'm still a nigga though, right? Like, so, you know, there's still that. There are times where because of the fact that I can still exude authentic masculine energy, but I'm high in my EQ, that if I'm interacting with someone, and this is people I've been in relationships with, like romantically, as well as even just friends, right? Like, I'm used to being the most emotionally strong person in a relationship, right? Which is kind of weird. Yeah, it's kind of weird because I think may have been one or twice I may have been with a woman that was more emotional than me, and that shit was kind of whack. It was like, damn, get off me, you know. But anyway, that was another situation. But I'm used to dealing with strong women, so I'm used to having to be the one that is more demonstrative as it relates to emotions or being keyed into her needs and her emotions. And, you know, just even if there's a rift in communication, I'm normally the one that's going to rectify it, right? Like, I'm normally the one that's solving emotional conflict. I'm comfortable with being this 85% of the time, but I'm aware of the fact that I'm human, right? And so there are times where I have been in a situation where I'm just like, I don't feel like being there right now, and I'm going through something. But when I'm going through something, I'm also not the person that's very demonstrative and like, hey babe, I need that. Like, nah, I'm very self-sufficient. So like, when I'm going through my shit, I retreat. When I retreat, however, I do look to see is the woman going to, like, every time she retreats and she go into her cave, I'm running after her, right? But when it's my turn and I retreat and I go into my cave, I'm sitting in that bitch alone, right? Like, for a minute, you know what I mean? And it's not because I don't think that the other person cares. It's because we've gotten into this pattern that they're comfortable with, right? They're used to me being the emotionally strong one. So the one time that I fucking pull back, you know, and in most cases, here's what's crazy about it. I normally will only stay down for about a day, 2 days at the tops. It's just the way my mind rectifies things, and a couple of days later I feel better. However, as I've matured, I've learned how to hold on to that a little bit more, right? Like, I would be past it, but I'm still paying attention to when I was going through my moment, if that person who I
Oh,
was
that's so
always there
fucking
for,
petty.
what? How is
That's so
that
fucking
petty?
petty.
That's
It's
not
petty.
petty.
It's petty
That's not
because
petty.
you create a pattern in this situation where you don't expect this person to meet you and to provide this for you in the friendship or whatever the situation is, and then all of a sudden you hold it against them that they don't come running after you when you've never created a situation where that's an expectation that you have that need. So that's like expecting someone to do something that they've never done before. I feel you because
Yeah,
I've been
I
guilty
feel
of
you, Aisha.
where
agree.
you're doing the
Yeah, you
most.
bogus,
It's
Aisha.
okay.
No,
Welcome.
no. See, okay. First off, I don't like the fact that both of y'all try to gang up on a nigga.
I was just
First
about
the
to say
fuck
before
off.
Aisha said
I don't know how I
that's
feel
so
about
petty,
that.
I was
Okay.
about to say, oh, so you've learned how to extend your petty? That's what you learned how to do? Because that's really all that is.
See. Okay. First off,
Are we
people know what
are
you
we still
need,
talking about
You
loyalty?
gotta let them know
I
first.
feel like y'all shaming me.
Now,
I feel like y'all shaming me, and I'm expressing some trauma that
No,
I've.
we're judging you. We're not shaming you. We're judging you. That's petty
What
as
were you
hell.
gonna say?
It's an opportunity to improve and to communicate. Like you in any relationship, you have to say what you need. If somebody is not showing up for you the way that you need them to show up for you, you need to communicate it. Use
Okay,
your words.
so Tina, I agree with you, right? And I even understand what it is that Aisha and Brittany was saying. But here's my point, though. It's not that I'm being petty when I do this move, right? It's that
when I do this move.
Okay, all right. I'll flip it. Let's say that you're the woman and you are financially stronger in the relationship. So you've already accepted that you're gonna pay the lion's share of expenses or just whatever,
I think
right?
you need to give this question to somebody else.
Where they at?
Are we still
Where they
discussing?
at?
No.
Plug you in the right direction. Where they at?
I'm right, exactly. Right. I know.
Rob is trying to figure out where these women are.
Hey, Rob. This is a hypothetical.
Nah, you speaking like it's truth, man. You gotta don't try to hold it all to yourself.
So what I'm saying is I want you to imagine that you're doing that, and you've already accepted a certain level of responsibility. But there comes a point where you're like, okay, I know I may be making 6 figures, I'm comfortable, and he ain't a scrub, he make his own money, but you'd get salty if every time y'all went out to a restaurant and the check came, he looking at you to pay it, right? Like there comes a point where it's like, should I have to tell this nigga that, like, yo, do you have any expendable income? Do you have anything?
Money's different.
Oh really? Oh really? Money is different now.
I think that
he might be doing other things.
I think
might
that
be
the
doing
emotional
other things.
emotional labor is something that people have access to.
Come on, man. I hope you got my back. Daniel. What you got, man?
I'm just trying to change it because I have nothing for you, my guy.
Like this is a hot topic because
I'm sorry. I was gonna kind of do a little bit of a shift.
Hey, what you got for me, man? What you got?
I was just listening to the whole conversation. Sorry I'm late, guys, but loyalty, the big talk about loyalty, something that I heard in the story wasn't so much so loyalty, but more or less priority, right? Like, where am I prioritized in your life? Am I the person that you're gonna kind of put on the back burner because you got your ideal mate in front of you, and all of a sudden whatever's going on with me is kind of not that big of a deal. What?
I said additional penis.
Additional, yeah, that.
What was that?
For me, it's more of a it's more priority, and loyalty means something else to me in that type of situations. And I have been in those situations where I'm not really prioritized. And
okay.
So
go ahead.
I'm sorry. Go ahead, Casey. No, go ahead.
No. I was going to ask someone a question, so I do want to hear what your thoughts are.
So we were talking in terms of loyalty. So I heard number ones and twos passed about, but if someone is number one in your life, you would expect loyalty. So in terms of being empathetic, being sympathetic, in terms of, I think priority was used also. Yeah, you're going to expect that. Someone else. I mean, if someone passes away as a friend of mine, I'm gonna reach out, extend my condolences. If they're getting married or whatever, I'm going to extend my congratulations. But in terms of loyalty, if there's someone who's number one in my life, I'm going to expect that. You know, if something happens that impacts me, I'm going to expect that person to be there for me.
Yeah, I feel you, Al. You know, me, I know a lot of women may not like value loyalty a lot, but for me, loyalty is a big thing because the people that I have relationships with, I really give all of me without questioning, you know, how they need me. You know what I mean? Like I trust those people that are close to me, and if they need me in any type of way, I'm willing to make adjustments, drop what I need to do in order to be there for them. So without discussion, I expect that in return from all of my relationships, from those that I'm intimate with, from women that I call, you know, my best friends. So if I feel that I'm not priority in a reasonable way, especially like with friends, because, you know, they have their mates and families and things like that. But if I feel that I'm not priority, especially like with a mate, then I do feel disrespected, spit on. Like it's a big deal for me. Like, and I haven't been able to process it to be able to like move past it. I almost just kind of pull back. Like it's just almost an automatic reaction because I realize at that moment, again, without discussion, that I'm giving more than I'm getting in return. You know what I mean?
I feel like though, you know, I'm sorry, Brittany. I
go
feel like though sometimes like I have this issue with my boss because I feel like he's loyalty, or hopefully he's not watching. I don't think he knows I exist outside of work, but
I hope not. God damn it.
I think that he can be loyal to a fault. And I think it's the same way in relationships. Like because someone has been loyal or they've been there for so long, they get passes or you keep them around longer than they need to be there. And I wonder if, you know, sometimes we're doing that same thing, whether it's in our friendships or in our relationships, because sometimes like just because someone was there for you for like, I do believe people are in our lives for seasons or lifetimes or whatever. And sometimes somebody was just supposed to be there for a season. So yeah, I just thought about that. But before we do move forward, I did want to toss it to Lex. So for those of you who don't know, Lex is an Olympian, and I don't know how you like to be categorized, but either blind or visually impaired, I don't know what you prefer, but like have you had any experience with like expecting a certain level of loyalty being someone who can't see things? Like do you expect your significant other to do certain things that, you know, may not be ready to take on?
I think that when I think of loyalty, especially in my situation, and just to kind of give more context, so yeah, Casey says I'm blind. I lost my sight when I was a young child, so I've been dealing with it for the past like almost, I don't know, 25 years or whatever. And so at this point in time, I feel like I have a good handle on just how to maneuver and shake through life. But when I think about, I don't know, I just think about loyalty, and when I'm dealing with the relationships that I'm in, yeah, I do feel like it's very important. I expect certain things, but I feel like that should be reciprocated also. I know we're talking about it, men versus women. I don't know. I just, loyalty to me is huge. It is me being able to, from an accountability standpoint, me being able to expect certain things from you, you being able to expect certain things from me, and for me not being able to physically see you, it takes it to a certain level at times, most times, because not having that aspect of life, like I need you to be there. I need you to do these certain things, because if you're not, now you're not, I don't see you literally and I don't see you figuratively. And that's, you know, that's challenging when you feel like they're not there in like either of those. It's like, all right, we need to have a discussion, or we just might need to separate.
Right.
Whatever the
Part
relationship
ways.
is, yeah.
Yeah. It's interesting.
Lex, have you found, when it comes to relationships, have you found a lot of situations where people are able to rise to that occasion? Or have there been, quite a few times where people aren't able to show up? Like, what has that been like when people are not able to show up?
Man,
You didn't know you were being interviewed tonight.
Yeah, nah, it's all good though. I mean, that's an interesting question because, like, the reality is, for me, life is just different. Like, there are certain challenges on top of the day-to-day things that we all face when you aren't able to physically see the world. So now, when you talk about getting into relationships, I'm having to first break through to this person, and let's say we're talking about just a relationship, like a girlfriend, boyfriend, or whatever the preference is. So for me, it's like literally trying to break through to, number one, let this person know that, like, I'm, for lack of a better term, like, I'm normal. I live my life like anybody else would. I put my shoes on, I put my clothes on, like everyone else does. And then getting this person to feel comfortable enough to be like, okay, he's just a normal Joe. And then from there, it's just continuing to build on that, in the sense of, I'm trying to think of a really good example right now to answer your question.
It's all right.
Let me pause. Give me a pause for a second. Let me think of something. I'm gonna hop back in because I know I got a number of different things.
Can I just say, Lex, you said normal Joe. You're a whole ass Olympian. I'm just gonna say you're not normal.
And I get that.
Brag. You're like, I'm real normal. No big deal, Olympian.
We've been to your website, G. Like, relax.
Right. Hey, right. Yeah. I appreciated that you made all of us feel, like we got greatness too and shit, but we like, nah, bro, you.
I appreciate that.
Something different, like, yeah.
And his girlfriend is bad. Why are you talking?
Yeah, I mean, I appreciate that.
But I Googled your Wikipedia.
Right.
Go ahead.
Okay.
So there's some investigators in here, y'all.
Hold on.
Now.
What you got, Rob?
Yeah. So I have a question for everybody. So is it that people are not loyal, or is it that folks be expecting more from certain titles that really should demand loyalty? Because in a situationship, I don't necessarily know if I'm gonna give you loyalty.
Bars.
You know what, Rob? I think it's great.
Rob.
Yeah, I think that's a really good question, because I feel like it is that, but it's also like communication, like communicating what the needs are. And so I think it does go into unrealistic expectations, because there hasn't been a conversation or communication around like what people are actually looking for and what they're actually needing.
Or they're naive.
Absolutely. Everything has to be defined.
Yes.
Even situationships, they have to be defined. Parameters and guidelines have to be set so that nobody oversteps. So even in those situations, if you know you're that type of person where if this is just some, we just gonna meet up here and there and that's what we gonna do. Hey, in order for this to work, like, I need this from you.
That sounds nice, but isn't it typically a situationship because it's not defined?
Right, but see, people be overstepping. That's what I'm saying.
I mean, I agree. I think in a perfect world, we would define these things and have these conversations. But I find
just to cover your ass, I just say, just let people constantly remind.
And Brittany,
no, I disagree. Brittany.
No, you got to remind. You got to remind, bro. You got to remind.
No, you do not. No, you do
not. Hey, every woman told me they was cool, bro. Every woman said they was cool with stuff and reneged at the end. Rob is off the cuff. Rob is straight off the cuff. I call it straight off the rip. Like, this is what it is.
No, Rob.
No, Rob don't call it like that, bro.
Look. What ends up happening is the moment that you seek to have that conversation, you are defining it, right? Like that, you are defining it by that conversation. Like, and so, like,
what's wrong with that?
Because
what's wrong with that?
That I've ever been
I think
in,
if you go in,
there's nothing. No, it's not that there's anything wrong with that. It's okay. It's understanding it's understanding what role we're going to fit in. So what you said is a situationship, and I agree with Casey. It's a situationship because of the fact that it is boundless. It doesn't have strict boundaries. The moment we put boundaries on it, we are now giving it a title, which means it now has to.
But if I tell you off real,
reminding them of where you're at. No. Stop sitting here and acting like you ain't had sex with somebody 5 or 6, 7 times, and the bitch thought y'all was together, or was asking you for money, or overstepping her.
When we going out, when we going to the movies,
showing up in your job. Stop pretending like that ain't never happened. You got to keep reminding people, because people get into these situations.
I don't think you have to keep reminding people. I think when we word it like that, it has a negative connotation. I think it's normal to check in, especially to make sure that what you want and what that person want aligns. And maybe what y'all want is to not title it. And every title means something different to a different person, which is why a lot of people are in situations with people where people are not in the same type of relationships a lot of times because people don't communicate, to what Brittany said.
Which is why even in a situationship, y'all gotta constantly communicate, because
on the flip
side, but if we smashing, and I tell you I ain't taking you out from the brook, believe me, I ain't taking you out from the brook.
Rob, who's fucking you and they don't want to go outside? Like, I mean, who does that?
You be amazed. You would be amazed.
I wouldn't.
You're amazed. It's a situationship. Y'all don't belong outside together. What are y'all doing?
Thank you. Come on, we call it a relationship. Boyfriend, girlfriend. We want to go out in public.
I have a question for Tina, because of all my friends, Tina keeps them hidden. When we had that episode of Tequila Tales where y'all have the guys with the faces all blown out and hidden, Tina's the one who I zoom in on her pictures and I'm like, who took this? So Tina, can you tell me how you keep them hidden, and like how you, because you and Rob have the same energy.
Put us on the game, Tina. Put us on to some game, Tina.
You're also putting Tina on blast. She might be like,
people that know her, like,
you have to have clear, defined rules over like what you want to do. Like, there's some people where it's like, all right, we're not gonna go up the street to get a burger. Like, we don't do that. Like, we have inside visits when we're naked. Like, that's our relationship. And then there's other people where you're like, yeah, we'll go out to a movie, or I'll invite you to like these social events because I actually like you. You're like a cool person. I just don't want to be with you in a relationship. So you have to define what it is and be clear and have those check-ins to say like, hey, like, just so you know, like, you just introduced me to your friend as your girlfriend, and I'm not that. Like, don't say that. Like, that's not what we are to each other. So just make sure that you're always communicating, as Brittany was saying, because a situationship is what you make it.
Absolutely.
What happens?
Okay, wait a minute.
Hold on 1 second, bro. What happens when Mr. Naked asks you, let's go get a burger, though? You already said that ain't what we doing.
I ate earlier.
But here's the thing, even when somebody oversteps and they ask, okay, that's not an overstep. You're asking. You're like, hey, can we actually go do this? You can either remind them of the terms of the contract, or
stop it, man. That is not how life works.
You can say, you know what, we could do that, because let me tell you something. In some situations, these situationships do have a positive outcome. Both parties can grow, and that situationship can turn into something greater. But it takes them going through it together and being on one accord every step of the way. At any point, any person feels forced. You put me in a situation where I felt like I had to, and I didn't want to tell you no because you are cool, but that's not what I was looking for. Now somebody's feelings about to get hurt.
Okay.
You just don't like the word contract, but really it's a verbal contract.
It's not even about the fact that we're using the word contract. It's about the fact that I see what people say, and then I see what people fucking do. And there's always a huge fucking disparity. So when do we stop lying? When are we going to stop lying to ourselves about how much truth we're actually ready to actually receive, how much all of us are fucking lying about shit.
There's
Nobody
one about-
wants 100% truth.
Omission ain't a
Nobody
lie.
wants 100% truth. See,
Okay, Rob, see, I was with you.
see what I'm talking about?
I
See what
was
I'm talking
with
about?
you until
See, look, see
You
what
ain't
I'm talking
asking the right questions.
See what I'm talking about? See
You
what I'm
ain't
talking
asking the right questions.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying.
Rob,
Some
are
real
you
nigga
getting
shit
the
just
fucking
came
way?
out. Some real nigga shit just came out because he knows, like, yo, like we all know that, and to the point that he just made. That's why I'm saying I'm not saying keep somebody in the dark. That's not what I'm saying. I'm not saying keep somebody in the dark. I'm saying, and I've always said this. I don't want to know full, absolute, 100% truth about a person that I'm dating. I don't need to know how many partners you've had before me. I don't need to know how you feel about your ex-boyfriend. So like
Okay, so you wouldn't ask those questions.
I always resisted. No, but see, what you were saying a moment ago, though, Brittany, was, oh, we gotta always make certain that we lock and step and we on the same accord. I'm not giving.
No, but that's not what I'm saying. You don't have to divulge personal information. It's about our relationship together. I would expect for you to be honest with me about where we're at. I don't need to know about what the fuck you got going on outside of me.
Now, I'll give you that.
The same. I'm not going to give you that information unless you ask me. And I'm gonna be 100 with you because at this point, I don't need to lie to you. This ain't something that we in for real.
Brittany,
I don't get it. Like,
Brittany,
I just
no,
feel like
I
a
agree
lot
with
of
you.
stuff
I
would
agree
be
with you. I agree
would
with
be
you.
relaxed. It wouldn't be so much craziness if people were open about what they were expecting out of that moment, out of that relationship.
I give you that.
You would like to be lied to.
That's all it is.
You like
You
to
want me
be
to lie
true.
to you? Honestly, that's insane. I don't want to do
But
it.
do you ask these women, Rob? Like, are you like, hey, like, you like me to lie to you? Like, you like us to like, you know?
Yo, listen, I'm probably one of the most off the cuff dudes ever because I don't like playing. Yeah, I don't like playing with people's feelings because you never know where a woman's head's at. So I always say it off the rip. Look, we just sleeping together. That mean I ain't trying to go out to the movies and none of that stuff because that's not what we trying to do. And when you say, yeah, I'm cool with that, Rob is like, okay, we cool with that. Then when you say, hey, Rob, let's go take a trip. Whoa, hold on. We wasn't on take a trip.
But Rob, I have a question. So I know that this is an example, but like how much time has passed between y'all having that first conversation, we're just fucking, and then someone inviting you on a trip?
And also, I'm sorry, Rob, before you answer, just so we're clear, like trips don't mean that we're a thing. Like
Man, listen. No,
you go on a trip for 5-7 days solely with this person when you would meet with them randomly every so couple of hours. That seems a bit together.
No. It can be a weekend, a Friday to a Sunday, and it means nothing, but it's a good
I
time.
never had no woman think it was nothing ever.
But Rob, how much time has passed?
That's a lot of time
between
together.
you fucking someone and them inviting you on a vacation?
As far as vacation, that's probably a little more long term. But going out, like after we've already defined we're not doing that.
No, I'm not talking
yes,
about
it's
going
quick.
out. I'm talking about vacation, which is the example you gave. Let's stick with your examples.
Okay, that's what I'm saying. Vacation would be more long term type of thing.
What's long term? How long?
Oh, it would definitely probably be at least a month. That's a, but
you and your trash.
What occurs in a month though? What occurs in a month?
Tell him, Rob.
Say a month. Oh, that's long term. That's a month.
I got a 90-day rule. I can't get more than a month.
Tell him, Rob.
I can't get more than a month. Come on, man. What's going on? What's going on, man? Why we gotta catch the blood into the stick
I knew
all
you
the
had
time?
something for me when they said how long. I was like, don't let me down, Rob. Don't let me down. He's like a month. I said, I knew it.
I thought he was gonna say 6 months. I was really giving him like the benefit of the doubt here.
For me, I don't have a problem going on vacation with somebody that I'm just like, you know, like we're cool and we don't have a relationship with, but you have to make sure that like you guys are in the same wavelength.
Yeah.
But doesn't that give but I'm gonna say this, right? Anytime that I've done that, I swear it has given them the wrong impression, right? Because a lot of women look at that like that's type of boyfriend kind of stuff.
Did you
like
pay for
me
the
and my
vacation?
I generally always do that. Like I've always been that type of person. Like,
Okay, Rob.
yeah. So,
you can't take pictures.
but I ain't taking situationships on nothing.
But what if you have the right impression and they cancel on the last minute and you gotta scrounge up to find somebody else to go on that vacation? Happening. Just saying.
He'll make
It
it
ain't gonna
happen.
yeah, you're right. It'll
Paid
happen.
for, can cancel.
Let me
Oh, it'll happen.
let me just throw us an idea out there. Let me just see if I'm describing this properly, Rob. You can correct me if I'm wrong. And ladies, you guys can let me know if I'm wrong too, but I think a lot of times, and this may be in our more naive stage, in our younger 20s stage, or whatever the case may be, I do think sometimes that when a guy is really, really respectful, he's fun to be around, he doesn't make it clear, like you, and I'm not saying that this is you, Rob, but like, I've been in situationships with people where it's not like, just so you know, we're not a couple. Like they don't do all that. Like it just doesn't feel necessary. But you know, you spend all this time together, you have fun together, you may take a trip together, that kind of thing. You meet their friends, which for whatever reason that feels like a more deeper connection. And all of a sudden it's like, oh, just because we went on this trip and we've been talking to each other for 6 months doesn't mean that we're a couple. And so I think that sometimes it gets blurry. And so while it may be like she knew what it was, I never at any point said that I was her man, but you also didn't say you weren't her man.
And you know what, Casey, and like how I feel about that, and like this is where I think language comes into play, and where everybody is fucking up, right? Is because I listen to what people say, and then I see what people do, like how they act, right? And like that's where all the lines get blurred, because I know niggas will play that game. Oh, well, I said this, and really this is what I meant. But them same niggas, if they found out that the chick that was just a little side piece, that they had a side piece or something else that was going on, then all of a sudden you start to see their emotions come into play, right?
They ain't playing the game right.
Right, exactly, right. So, but see where I think they mess up though, Rob, is women and men, we aren't honest with one another or ourselves, right? Like, honestly, I've always hated when people even use the terminology side piece. Nigga, that ain't your side piece. That's your other girlfriend. You know what I'm saying? Like, niggas be investing in these side pieces. Like, they buying gifts. They are, going on trips. A situation happens. They need to plug in. Like you are in a relationship with this person, right? Like, and I feel like we throw these terminologies out here, and I don't know where they initially were created, but I know the intention. The intention was to disparage, the mistress or the side nigga or whatever, so that oh, I'm the main, but it's this. All right, call it whatever you want to call it, right? But let's not act like the dude or the woman doesn't care about the other person that they're in relationship with, right? And it's like, if we are not in a space where we can at least admit that, if we cannot admit that, then we cannot move forward into the kinds of relationships that honestly people are having that they're just not putting a brand to, right? Like, because if you make it seem like, oh, that's just my side piece, then nigga, why was you outside about ready to shoot a nigga over her then? Like, nah, nigga, she's more than just your side piece. You all are in a relationship. We forget trying to put a name or a brand on it. You all are in a relationship. And
But Isaac, can we also talk about the fact that a lot of times, especially for Black people, we still look down on open relationships, like people who are poly, different types of relationships.
Right,
so I think that if there was a culture that was more accepting and welcoming of non-traditional relationships, people wouldn't feel the need to have to throw some type of label on it to try to satisfy the status quo. And I think that a lot of times it's like, whatever I've always felt, whatever the fuck you want to do, find someone who also wants to do that. Whatever y'all want to call it that. I like when people are both opting into the same type of relationship. And I think that where I have an issue is when someone is deceitful and doesn't give their partner an option and an opportunity to say, I also am okay with being in this. Everyone doesn't want to be married. Everyone doesn't want to be monogamous, and that's totally fine. But I think that when you don't let the people that you're fucking or there's people who don't fuck at all. They're asexual, whatever. I mean, there's all types of things. Like if you're not communicating, that's the thing. And I think that in friendships, romantic relationships, people who don't know how to express what their needs are with words, because we are people with like human language, or sign it, or whatever the fuck you need to do, Morse code it. If you can't communicate what you need, that's where I think the issue is. If you feel the need to check in with your partner, that's a great thing. More communication is not going to hurt anybody.
And to touch on what you were saying earlier, Isaac, about people not being honest, I'm honest all the time. I try to be encouraging. I will say something like, I'm dating other people as well. I hope that you are also dating other people, because this is not a serious situation. So just
make them want you more, Tina. They're just
I was about to say, I know it does, don't it?
Sometimes no, like some people will opt out. They're like, oh no, like this is actually not what I want. And then other people are like, oh yeah, this is cool, right? And so being able to constantly check in with your partners and just making sure that you guys are both opting into what your relationship looks like is a good thing, as Aisha was saying.
Okay. All right.
Kalia, how are you handling dating? Because I know that you like are single, and like, what are you doing?
Me?
Yeah, you do.
Oh, sorry. It's tricky. The ghosting thing is old and annoying and tiresome. But then to Tina's point, there's also that, because I'm in a space where I don't want a relationship, and I'm very clear about that.
How do you communicate that?
What was that?
How do you communicate that?
Just being clear that, like, look, my only interest is you come over, we do what we do. I'll catch up with you next week.
Will you let them be in a TikTok video?
You what?
Will you let them be in a TikTok video, or is that too serious?
I mean, if they're open to it. But it's hard because, like, sometimes I do get in that kind of situation to where men typically assume that what I said, I don't really mean that. So we'll be in our, situationship or whatever, our, we're spending time together. You come over, we have fun, watch a movie, have great sex, and then you go, where you're going. And then a few days later, you call me out of the blue and, oh, I just thought I'd, give you my work number in case you ever, no. That's not what this is. Well, I'm used to girls that, I know that's what you said, but I'm like, but what I said is what I said. Like, I meant what I said. Like, I want nothing else from you. Exactly. Exactly. So that it's different. Yeah. It's challenging.
I said what I said.
That is deep.
Period.
In the words of the great Nene Leakes.
Right. Right.
So,
in a podcast that I recently listened to, somebody said that Candy also followed up with what you said was some bullshit. But I think we all know what podcast that might have been. But I said what I said.
I'm happy that you said that, Kalia, and I know that Tina does the same. And I'm like happy to see examples, especially of Black women who own their bodies, their sexuality, and also can communicate what they need. And I've seen a lot of times guys don't believe it, and I think that it happens for women as well. But like, people would do themselves a disservice when they don't listen to what people are telling them, because people are literally telling you things, and you are like, oh, I don't want to believe that. And it's like, okay, well, that's on you now. Because I have not misrepresented myself once. So you go cry to your friends, not to me. Don't blow me. Don't show up. Like,
would you say, Aisha, try Jesus? Don't try me.
I mean, try Allah, try any. There's so many gods. You don't even need to try a god. You can go try some mushrooms and get to another plane. Go do some shrooms and figure your life out. That's another thing.
Like, who used to like go on planes and like really knew herself? Carmen Sandiego.
Oh, she did.
And I'm to that.
She's not going anywhere now. All of us on the West Coast, it's like the apocalypse. Someone said that California is beta testing the apocalypse right now. So we are in our homes. The air quality is like the worst in the world.
Horrible. Yeah.
You all literally have red skies. Okay, so you know what? That is an excellent transition because this next segment is called After the Credits Roll. because we are in the end of days, apparently, from what we've heard. So they say that Hollywood has this way of romanticizing shit in such a grandiose way that when you take yourself away from being caught inside the narrative and you actually analyze it, you quickly realize, this shit's pretty fucked up, right? And I mean, I'm talking like a whole ass toxic situation. And Hollywood has a way of making these toxic situations look cute and sexy. I don't know if it's the nerd part of me. I don't know if it's the Virgo part of me, but I've always been obsessed with like the what if. And what I mean by the what if, I mean like what happens after the movie is over and the narrative continues on, right? So we know the setup. Boy meets girl. The two fall in love. There's a conflict that jeopardizes them. They overcome the obstacle and they get reunited. They're stronger. Despite whatever despicable thing that occurred. They live happily ever after. And then the end. We all know that there's no such thing in real life as happily ever after, right? So we decided it'd be fun if we played a little game called After the Credits Roll. So we're going to take a look beyond some of the classic movies to assess what are the most realistic scenarios of how life continued after the credits roll. So we're going to start first with Pretty Woman.
Oh, Lord.
So, right. So for those of you all that need a refresher, the film story centers around a down on her luck Hollywood prostitute. I would have called her.
We say sex worker.
I would have called her a sex worker, but this came from Wikipedia. This came from Wikipedia.
But Wikipedia's dated. Remember, we've language.
Listen. I'm gonna be unwoke because I'm reading it from Wikipedia. Wikipedia says the film story centers on a down on her luck Hollywood prostitute, Vivian Ward, who is hired by Edward Lewis, a wealthy businessman, to be his escort for several business and social functions, and their developing relationship over the course of the week-long stay with him. So the first question I will ask is, many of us recall the many themes of this movie, but in your expert opinions, like how realistic do you think that ending was?
Well, she became first lady, and I mean, we just saw it happen very recently.
We always see both turn into housewives. Like that's like what happened. Yeah.
The ultimate.
That was
right?
good.
And he made it very clear, like to his friends in his immediate circle, you will not disrespect Julia Roberts. I don't care what her past or current situation is. So
right, I think Cole is in the house right now.
His purchased vagina.
Ultimate side piece.
Say again.
She became the ultimate side piece.
What's that? Because she's at front and center, though.
Yeah, there was no one else, was there?
I don't remember.
Was there? We don't know that.
No, he wasn't married.
He was, but like
work events and things. Like they weren't like, where's Cheryl? Like,
right? No one
knows. But like he didn't make it. He wasn't like she's front and center. Like he wasn't like this is my wife. He's like, respect her. But like, let's be real. Side pieces are respected.
No, they're not.
No,
they're not. What?
Yes,
In
they
America?
are, Aisha. Yes, they are.
Thank you.
Side pieces.
Actually,
Hey, wait a minute. Omar.
Mute yourself.
Omar, hit him with the quote. Omar, hit him with the quote. Omar.
Thank you.
The quote. Well,
about the side pieces. You already know, man. Come on, man.
Boyfriend and girlfriends come and go. I've had the same side chick for 15 years, so they're there to stay, man. They don't.
This
They're
sounds
loyal,
so
and they're loyal.
They're
loyal.
How would you go anywhere?
There are at least two situations that I know of where.
Can you define side piece just for the conversation? Like, can you define it? What you mean by it?
I do want to hear Daniel's point of view though, really quickly before.
Well, no, it's not a point of view. It's just it's simply I know two women that stepped into that role with married men, and they met their wives and stuck around to the point where the wife eventually left, and they're still in that.
Were they side pieces or were they in an open marriage?
Right.
They were side pieces.
so when they met the wife, did they meet the wife as like a sexual partner, or was it like a hustle?
No. They met the wife from the wife, finding out that this man had been stepping out and contacted the woman then. And that whole little story where it's like, oh, well, I'm not going to mess with her anymore, but he continues to do so. That type of situation.
Yeah,
So,
it depends on the side piece situation, because all side pieces are not created equal. Every side piece, they serve a purpose, because see, regardless if it's man or woman, you're stepping out of your current relationship to fulfill something that you're not receiving. So each side piece is super unique. And so I've seen kind of two different.
You sounded like the X-Men, Brittany.
Side pieces.
No, really, I've seen two
makes-
different ends of the
She makes side pieces sound like X-Men, like they about to have a whole series.
No, I'm just saying, I'm not condoning side pieces. I'm just saying that for those that step out.
Brittany, can you also say that it's not that the person is stepping out because it's something they're not getting, it's something they want. Sometimes people have a whole ass partner, but they may have sex addiction, they just may be an asshole, whatever it is. But I think framing it that way puts the ownership on the person getting cheated on, that they lack something. And it's a lot of times that has nothing to do with you. People who want to cheat and it's not open, everyone's not opting into it, that's on them.
Well, I could just say from experience, I stepped out on my boyfriend because I wasn't getting something.
Did you communicate what you needed? Why didn't you just break up?
Absolutely. The situation was complicated, so just leaving was kind of an issue. Did
y'all live together?
We did.
Knew it.
So I wasn't ready to leave because our lease was in the middle. We had just renewed, so we had a whole
She's talking about it was complicated and it was financial.
No,
it wasn't complicated. We had just renewed that lease, and I was like, damn, I'm splitting this rent.
Well, it wasn't even a lease. The thing was, I just financially wasn't ready to go.
Girl, don't say it. There's so many. Do you know the type of fuckery that is, where you're like, I'm gonna fuck somebody else, but I don't have my money together, so I'm gonna still fuck with you.
Give me 6 more months though.
That's kind of what it came down to. I mean, to be real, if we being honest about the shit.
Love you. I appreciate it.
It's what it is. At that point, I didn't give a shit. So
Jared's over there looking like
at the time was
how long ago was this?
Because
I'm looking at Jared though.
Never
Jared's
mind.
over there with his cup like, bitch, I checked your bank account. Like, what we doing? We good? We good. But like Jared has a whole GoFund. Jared's like, bitch, you're not about to have me trapped. I got a whole emergency fund. If this shit goes left, I'm joking.
No,
y'all win.
This is my soulmate.
Look at Jared. Look at Jared.
Okay, soulmate.
And see, that's why you can't just, okay, I'm saying too much. But anyway, all I'm saying is all situations.
Clearly,
Jared.
That's all.
Right, Brittany. Brittany, let me step in and save you. Let me go ahead and save you from yourself, goddamn it, because
I had too many.
Jared, blink if you need help.
Go ahead. I'm gonna just listen.
Jared, blink if you need help, brother.
Okay. So next question, but still on the same movie, right? We live in a world of infinite possibilities. So while the potential may be slim that the two could have become an item in real life, it's still inside of the realm of possibility.
It's a lot more likely now, just FYI.
Yeah.
Y'all think so? Wait a minute. Let me finish, because it's funny you said that shit. Yeah. Okay. I said, however, that's funny you just jumped in and said that, because that's unique. However, after the novelty wears off, do you think Richard Gere's character could continue to defend his girlfriend who was formerly a sex worker? Like understanding
him like crazy.
That he was in.
That's like every man's dream.
That's why he committed to a prostitute. I don't know what man would actually be okay with marrying a prostitute, wifing a prostitute.
Hold on, I want to hear what Daniel just said. I didn't.
Go ahead. Sorry.
No, Tina said it was every man's dream to have somebody that just fucks him like crazy. It's not.
Expound.
Look,
You can fuck me like crazy 3/4 of the time, then shit.
Oh my goodness gracious.
If we ain't all the time, 3/4 of the time.
Anthony should be a narrator.
Y'all don't. Okay. All right.
Say
All
more
right.
things, Daniel. Say more things.
So to expound on it, I've been in this situation, in my past with a partner that just was a sex addict, and I'm gonna be honest with you, I got tired of it.
Well, why didn't you take vitamin B?
Sex addict.
No.
What about Gatorade? Red Bull.
You should have brought them toys in the room, bro.
Listen,
Bring them toys in the room, bro.
Listen, for some people,
Iron levels.
that's a thing that they probably crazy about. When I say I got tired of it, it's not that I couldn't get up or anything like that. What it was simply, yo, we done this about 4 times today. Can we relax today?
Yeah.
No, I don't want to go a 5th right now. Just I'm cool on that.
You should have been nice and cleansed.
Nah, you had a woman not give it to you when you wanted it. You ever had a woman that
Even
wouldn't give it to you all the
outside
time?
of that, even outside of that, and this sounds crazy to people. Is sex something that every man loves? Absolutely. I adore sex. Trust me. But that is not something that's like oh man, she love to have sex and we good, because she could be a total bitch. And that is not something I want to deal with.
I want to throw it to Omar, because we've talked about this a little bit on the podcast, and how like as men either get older or more successful or busy, it becomes less and less significant.
Wait a minute, Casey, what's that podcast again?
The Tequila Tales Unleashed.
Wait a minute, where can I find it? Could I subscribe to it? Like, where is it? Are you on, like, where?
Yes, shameless plug. You can subscribe on all streaming platforms. It is available everywhere.
Because you said it, I just wanted to know if I wanted to hear it. But I'm sorry, continue.
But no, Omar had mentioned something like that on a previous episode, and I just kind of wanted to dig into it because it sounded a little bit like what Daniel's saying. Like, of course, men love sex, but it's like at a point, we don't need to be doing it all the time. Like, I have shit to do.
Yeah, I'm not.
Yeah, I mean, you just really got, again, that just goes with
Brittany, you are not Omar. I am.
She said, "Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and jump in for Omar. I know this shit."
No, it's just one of those things. Like, it's not something I'm always thinking about. I think when I was younger, in my 20s and teenage years, that was a thing. But I think as I got older, it's more about me building a partnership with that person and not it being sexual. But I've had relationships that were strictly sexual, but we didn't have anything outside of that, and that's all it was. And I think some people choose one or the other, and I'd rather choose that partnership than just have that.
Who said that he fucked that chick and didn't even look next to her bed to see the gallon of vodka or whatever it was?
Girl, this the same Omar that fucked that chick with the rats in her crib. We're not even talking about.
I don't want to cut you off, Omar. Go ahead. I just want to make sure it's the same one.
Y'all are not about
animation on our Tequila Tales page of a clip of him talking about the dirty house, dirty mouse, where he's sitting there Netflixing and chilling, and a fucking mouse run out, and he still hit the bitch.
Omar, do you see what they doing? Why are they?
It's cold.
Omar.
They ain't had bed bugs, did they?
Omar, all these
She ain't had no bed bugs.
Omar, all these woke women we got on this podcast, why are they past shaming you? Why are they not allowing you to grow and develop?
He probably did that last week.
It's all about growth and development, guys.
Okay.
Please, those are your limitations. You will go
Twitter for Black Lives Matter. He's like, I'm listening and learning, and I no longer fuck chicks with rats in their house, and I'm listening and learning and growing. So I am looking forward to the future.
Just because you wore blackface to a Halloween party in the past doesn't mean that you're gonna do it next week.
This
Right? You
said
gotta
this
learn.
just happened last week.
I feel like he still might if he didn't see the rats in the house.
Hey, listen, there was a lot I would do. Like, I didn't have any, I didn't have any class back then. Like, it is what it is. It didn't matter if it was an alley, a car, like anywhere. Like, it didn't matter.
Go ahead, Tina.
I think there's some kind of reputation that sex workers are like having sex like rabbits outside of work. And I want to kind of like let you all know that, you know, a lot of the sex workers that I know aren't doing that. Like they're like normal people. They go through droughts. They go through, you know, ebbs and flows of it. So just because somebody's a sex worker doesn't mean that they're demanding sex outside of their job with their partner all the time.
It's one across the street from me.
He's like back in the day. Like when was back in the day? Like how?
Girl, this was 5 years ago. This wasn't no back in the
How
day.
old are we that we're talking about back in the day? Because
Girl, Omar don't care.
Like
As long as
how
you-
far? Like how old are you? How back in the day was this?
Omar,
like early 20s, like early
guys.
20s. Like I don't.
No, 20. He always lets us know on the podcast. I was like maybe 20, 21, 22. Like it seldom goes past 25. I feel like about 25, you know, he still had a little bit of ratchet in him, but he wasn't full ratchet.
Okay.
Like he lets us know the age. When I hear early 20s, I'm like, oh shit, here we go.
Yeah. No, early 20s,
It's about to be a story right here, goddamn it. It's early 20s, Omar. Like,
Can Rob asked the question he just asked in the chat?
Yes,
I want to hear that.
I want to hear that too. Rob, can you ask that out loud?
Yeah. So my question was for the ladies. So just based on what Daniel said, what would you ladies do if your man turned you down and let you know that y'all were having sex too much and he didn't want to have sex with you at that time?
Get my
Great
shit
question.
leave.
Respect him, and then also have a deeper conversation about our sex drives. So to be completely honest, my now husband, I got married last weekend.
Come on, everybody. Oh, hold on, wait a minute. Congratulations.
Marriage ain't for everybody, but it's for me. No, so like, but to be honest, so my now husband and I have had this conversation because we have different sex drives. And so I really feel proud of us for having a sensitive, very vulnerable conversation where you have to feel safe to talk to someone and say, this is what my needs are. This is what your needs are. We are opting into a successful relationship together. So how do we meet each other? And what does this look like to have sex together? And what do we want? And obviously we're all different people. We all have different kinks. We all have different desires. And so I think if you're with someone, you should be in a space where you feel comfortable telling them what you want. And just because someone doesn't inherently want what you want to the maybe frequency that you want it, that's not wrong. But do you have a conversation? How do you meet your partner so that you can be together? And maybe that looks like, okay, we're so far apart that there is no together. I need to be with someone who's a little closer to what my needs are.
So I want to. Oh, I'm sorry, Bree. I'm gonna throw it right back to you. I'm gonna just chime in really quick. I'm hoping that like I shared this on my page. I'm hoping like my mom isn't watching, but you know, I felt a very I'm evolved, but I think Aisha, you may be a little bit more evolved in this area for me. But like I've had moments where my sex drive was significantly higher, and I've had my partner say, all right, like relax. And it was jarring. It made me feel self-conscious. I didn't really know how to articulate how I felt in that moment. And so if it came up again, which it hasn't, I think I would feel more comfortable talking about it because of how long we've been together. But it's not a comfortable thing to hear as a woman, because you've been trained to think that men are ready to go at any point at all times. And so if you don't want to do it, it must be me. So
there's also
I
other
agree
you
with
can
that,
do.
Casey. I've been there as well, where that was mine. I initially just like internalized it and thought, oh, something was wrong with me, because that societal thing, like a guy's gonna tell me I want sex too. Like, who the fuck complains about that? Like, you know what I mean? And so that was like, I was like, oh shit, is there, like I kind of took it personally. If that conversation happened now, then I feel like I would be like mature enough to be like, okay, let's have this conversation. You know what I mean? Because I'm, mature enough, experienced enough, aware enough to know that not everybody has that same sex drive. Not every man has this, wants to fuck all day, and like, you know what I mean? And being cognizant of that and respectful of that, and meeting each other in the middle and having that conversation, like Aisha was saying. But but like in my 20s, I was like,
wait a minute, Casey. No, just because I'm curious. Like, wait, hold on, because I'm curious. Like, so when you shared that, like, was that a situation where you felt like because you share it now from the space and the age that you're in now, but like even back then, was it that you really desired the sex, or was it that you felt like you were, like as you said, trying to live up to your predisposed ideas of what you thought
No, I felt like I was
spouse wanted?
desiring, and because touch is a love language for me, like I'm very, like, I just like that for me, like between touch and intimacy and sex is we can be as pissed with each other as we want, but when we're still like, you still better be fucking touching me, like that's my thing. And so like the sex for me, it wasn't like a way of trying to like prove something or to try to be what I thought the man, like that. It's genuinely what I want to do. Like, this is like, I like it, I enjoy it.
Yeah,
and so to be with someone that isn't that same way, I'm that's weird.
I think most men are sexually active when it comes to new coochie.
If you talk about quarantine and like how people are doing, like you're with your partner. Like for me, I've been with, my fiance like for like, I don't know, almost October, 6 months, me and him together. Like when we didn't see each other, we wanted each other more. But now that we're in this space together, day in and day out, I don't want him as much. And it's not that because I don't love him, it's because I see you 24/7. Like I don't have to want you that much all the time because we're together 24. Like I don't want you that much.
I can speak to that, but I know Britt was gonna say something.
Oh, sorry. Okay.
No, go ahead, Bree.
Well, like Vanessa, I totally get where you're coming from, but I feel like I've kind of had the opposite experience where it's like we're around each other. We're around each other all the time to the point where it's like now we actually have more time to be intimate because we weren't having that all the time because we had commutes and work and things like that to worry about. But with that being said too, my husband and I have been together for 13 years now. Okay. And so I feel like we've gone through a lot of pendulums where like my sex drive is higher than his or his is higher than mine. And that's just kind of been the nature of it. And I think I've had a very similar experience to Aisha and Casey where it's been like, ooh, okay, like I feel kind of hurt that you're telling me that you like don't want to have sex right now. But at the same time, I think it's been that piece around like understanding where people are with like their day to day. Like there are some times where we're both stressed or he's stressed or I'm stressed and neither of us are really interested. But what I also found is that those times where, we're kind of off sync, I have a library of vibrators that that works too.
No, so like my fiance, he lived in Florida and I'm in Michigan. And so we didn't have time together. And so I was like, when we see each other, we're going at it like rabbits because we didn't see each other. Now we're living together. I'm like, I just saw you for the last 7 days.
You just have to you need to give yourself grace and space to redefine what sex looks like living together now. And that's totally fine. And it doesn't have to be like vaginal intercourse. There's a lot of ways to have intimacy. I like calling it intimacy over sex because I like intimacy. It doesn't always have to be penetration. It can be other things. There's a lot of shit you can do that will satisfy that desire to connect and be close. And I would just say be open.
You're using a lot of words that is like they are the Webster dictionary words.
This is the moment that Isaac's brown liquor hit. You can tell Isaac's dark liquor hit. Carmen San Diego's been mixing his drinks.
I want to say something real quick.
Vaginal intercourse. And
Brittany.
I want to say something real quick.
That was the appropriate way to say.
I let Brittany have the floor.
Oh, okay. Because I'm watching him go on this rant, girl. This shit's hilarious. So, I just want to say something real quick. So with my current relationship, like we're pretty intimate, like really into like physical, like touch. That's like our thing. But I've noticed
we just saw him, right?
Yeah, he'll be back. Yeah. So we're into that. And you know, they be clowning me because Casey will always be like, Brittany, everybody don't like the fuck like you do. Okay. But, and I know that. However, my point that I'm trying to make is this. So my previous relationships, I had even gotten complaints from them that we didn't have sex enough. And then when I got with my current relationship, it's more like we can't stop. And we've been together for like 5, almost 6 years, and nothing's changed. Like that whole honeymoon phase, it's like we have our issues. Like we'll have times where we butt heads, but it's very light, very light. You know what I mean? So it's nothing even worth like tripping about. But I noticed the difference in the like the intimacy. So I think that certain partners will bring certain things out of you that you didn't even really know was something that you really enjoy. Like if I were me, you know, just 7 years ago, I would be like, oh, there's no way that I would be having sex that much. I don't even care for it like that. But now it's like, hello, like, you know, it is like, I'm always like driven and like turned on just by the things that we do and things like that. And I noticed that's the biggest difference between this relationship and something that I was in prior that was super serious, where we lived together, where I really wasn't, you know, like worked up.
Yeah, so
like
it was based on the person for you, not necessarily.
For me,
like
it's about what that person can really kind of bring out of you. So I think that
But
that's a
Brittany,
big difference.
also
too.
as we get older, we're on the like race to our peak. So also 7 years ago, you're 7 years closer to your sexual peak. So I think that wait, drink to that.
Where them numbers at?
Guys are on the downhill. All these dudes on the call.
Where the numbers
like,
at supporting sexual peaks?
Women cougars. This is why
What number do y'all peak at?
I mean, numbers that we ain't at yet. So we're still like
even
this.
the Robs will drop off.
And let me hop in for a second. I've been sitting back just listening.
Oh, hop in, Lex.
But it sounds like a lot of you, and I could be wrong, it sounds like a number of you have the luxury of being able to be with your significant other during this time. And so for me, I think about, I'm in San Diego and my girlfriend is in Phoenix. And I can't, being in this athlete space, I'm at an Olympic training center. And so we're under, I don't want to say close watch because that sounds real parental, but they're very much strict. Yeah, but it is. They want to make sure that everyone is safe and everyone is COVID free. So that has put a strain on how we operate right now, because I haven't been to. I think I'm going on a year that I haven't been to Phoenix. She's been traveling out here, which has been good, because every time that we leave the city, we have to come back and go through a quarantine and get tested and clear it again. So to alleviate that, it's just been her coming to San Diego, which is
they let her in.
Say it again.
They let her in because you know that football player that just got dropped.
Well, no.
Listen, Lex, we can't have you getting.
No. About to say the same thing.
Because it's not a.
Don't risk your career.
Because it's not a like we're not.
Risk it all.
Right, we're not
for the vagina.
We're not competing right now, so it's literally just we want to make sure everybody is in a safe space. So when we compete, I mean, of course, we're gonna go to Tokyo or wherever the major international competition is. But as it stands right now, we can travel throughout the city and do things accordingly. But you just have to be cognizant of like who you're kicking it with, where you're hanging. I know I've been sticking to my domain for the most part, and I'll certainly see her. But again, you take it to another level in the sense of, like everything that I do is based off of feel. It's based off of energy. It's based off of, touch and, et cetera, et cetera. So to not have that during this time, it's a whole different, a different type of look and feel. And I'm an athlete. Like I'm out here.
So you basically
you lifting weights, you running, you lifting weights and all that sort of stuff. Your testosterone is doing what it do, and you just really don't have that luxury.
Tina is also somebody who I know of, like of my friends, who has chosen to quarantine alone. And I think that that's something that I haven't heard on the show yet, and I think it's a unique perspective to actively choose to quarantine by yourself and kind of forego that intimacy from a partner. So Tina, how are you handling things?
Yes, what is going on, Tina? How are you doing that? Oh my God. I send my prayers to you.
Oh, Tina, unmute yourself.
You're muted. I'll send my prayers and pray for you.
Thank you.
Because I couldn't. Even when I was 7 years ago and I wasn't having sex much, I couldn't.
I chose to do that. I didn't want to go into quarantine because, you know, when you're in these types of constraints, I feel like it's different. People think that you're something that you're not. And so I hadn't had any partners where I saw that like it could potentially be a relationship or that I wanted it to be a relationship. So I chose to cut everything off that I had going. And I mean, I have vibrators, you know, I have other toys and, you know.
Tina's an only child. She has an imagination.
Yeah, I have a good imagination. Like,
so you ghost the folks. So you ghost the people. Is that what you're saying?
No, I don't ghost.
Oh,
like, if
okay.
I'm not
Tina
interested
tells
or if
them.
it's not like
Your
chemistry
penis
or
is
whatever,
not
I don't
large
have
enough.
an issue with that. But I'm not really actively dating either. So it's just I've used the quarantine as like just my time to just work on other interests. So like I'm doing a lot of like, you know, exploring of like personal development, career development, figuring those kinds of things out right now.
Tina, I feel a vibe. You feel me?
Brittany, you
I
and
like
Tina
you.
would like each other. I know y'all would be friends.
I feel a vibe. Like Tina, look.
Wait, can we throw it to Jacinta? Because she's another friend who is dating during quarantine and she had a date and she canceled him.
No more, so I'm happy about that. Because mayonnaise dude finna get fried.
No, girl, Brittany, don't even get roped into Jacinta's thing. Like, she's evolved beyond mayonnaise dude. She had a new dude.
That was years ago.
Yeah.
Also, I only started dating about 2 weeks ago.
And had that.
And I decided I can do bad all by myself.
Hello.
Hello, that's what Big Mama said. If you ain't got a man, you got a hand. You know what I mean? That's what Big Mama
I'm just honestly, I'm not. No, I actually don't really want to talk about it because I know 3 of my very close friends are on this call and I'll have to answer to them after. So I'm just gonna right now.
We love you, Jacinta. You're in our heart.
I get it.
That's okay.
He's the 5th.
Right.
I have to throw in there though, like I should mean, because like, yeah, I'm kind of on Tina's boat where I've quarantined by myself as well too. But I admit that I do struggle with it sometimes because I'm such a people person, because I'm such a touchy person. And so to not have that, there have been some moments where, you know, hence the plant collection, that it's a, you know, it's not nice all the time.
Did you say plant collection?
She's a plant mom. And Kalia's also TikTok famous. She has all these TikToks where you're living the best life in your house.
I mean, when I'm by myself, I get a lot of time on my hands.
So change your name to your like TikTok so that people can.
Yeah, and I'm gonna just say this because, you know, when Aisha told us that, you know, she was inviting you and she sent us your link, I went to your TikTok. Like, I have a TikTok account, but I'm not on TikTok. Your shit is fucking awesome. I'm not even gonna lie. Like, I literally, I was going through your stream for a moment, and yeah, man, like you are the real deal, which is actually kind of fun. And I'll just say this much: I think your relationship with your daughter is enviable. I don't even have children, and I saw that. I was like, yo, that is
my best friend.
I got a bunch of unreleased TikTok videos with my daughter, but they so trash, I won't let her post them. I done did every dance, y'all, and they are not posted.
That is so cute.
Talia, when you moved into your house,
you moved into your new place and got everybody to do that dance, but the way that you have your relationship with your daughter and your son and his girlfriend, I was showing Mike and I was like, no, that's not a third daughter. That's not like a third kid. That's her son's daughter that she's like a poppin' ass mom. Like, I love it.
Thank you.
So
and you don't want dudes to sleep
question.
over.
I got a quick question before I just quickly transition to the next movie. I saw this. I had this bullet point, and I felt like I have to ask it. This to the ladies. Ladies, if you were dating a man and you were into him, he's got his stuff together, and he was, let's just say he's like a 6th grade teacher, right? But he's got his shit together. After about the 6th to 8th date, as you guys are discussing the past, he shares that he was formerly a stripper for close to 10 years. How would you handle that? How would you handle his past? Would you be able to understand, oh, that was just a moment in his life, or would you judge him?
I would not judge him because guess what? There's dudes out here with 8 children with 8 women, and he was a stripper. Oh, okay, that was your job. You did you bring your work home with you?
So then
because
that
there's
means
a lot
his
of men who
body
do
is
that.
together. So
Right.
I wouldn't care.
Who cares?
And he still
fucking
dance?
cares?
As long as your tests come back negative.
And by test, you mean COVID test?
No, by test I mean
I know you
sexually
mean all of
transmitted
it.
disease test.
Every male stripper,
Then
women
we're
don't want to
good.
get fucked by strippers. Can we just say that? Like, women are not trying to get fucked by strippers. Men want to get fucked by strippers.
These women don't want to, but I feel like there's that, like our aunties and others.
Have you been to, this
Yeah.
is why I don't do male reviews. It's too aggressive. You're not finna put your dick in my face and I just met you. You're not finna do it. And I done been to bachelorette parties where the stripper show up looking like DMX with a collar around his fucking neck, chasing hoes, picking them up, and these bitches are going crazy. Like they ready to risk it all. Okay, and they just hired him. I can't do that.
Okay, so I'm glad that you all were as elevated and as woke as you all just shared your response to that. Let me elevate it. He's a sex worker. He's a sex worker, and he has videos on XNXX and all the porn sites.
Have lives. Like, can we stop shaming people for sex?
I'm not trying to shame them. I'm asking y'all on this call because see, this question often gets asked to men, but I feel like it doesn't get asked to women enough, especially women that are on their business, that care about their image. Would you all feel a certain way about dating a guy?
I have a question. So Daniel said in the chat that he dated a stripper, and I'm interested if he
I
did
think
it.
that's classified information.
Well, I'm
course
just
he
interested
did.
if it was in a work environment or if it was outside. Everyone has a job.
I feel like I
at the
gotta
strip
comment on
club.
this now.
No, I want to know.
Put it out there.
Daniel, you put it out there, so tell us about your stripper experience.
Female strippers are goddesses and male strippers are trash. So like,
I agree with you, Aisha.
That sounds very
I agree with you
sexist.
100%.
That sounds very sexist.
Daniel, tell us your story.
Uh,
I know you thought it was a safe space in the chat, but clearly it wasn't.
what did Aisha say? I just heard
She
her
wanted to
brains
know
out when
I think she wanted to know the details of your stripper encounter.
I mean, long story short, I was trying to get over somebody that left me. So I was in and out of the strip clubs, and there was one particular stripper that had a little thing for me and invited me to their home. And I went and handled some business. That was it.
Okay.
But they invited you, so it wasn't necessarily like, oh, it was a stripper. It was more like you met someone and they were into you, right? Like more of a
Well,
date.
no. Okay, so if we want to break down a little bit of the dynamics, I came into this place with this guy that had this VIP membership or whatever. I didn't pay for anything.
Strip clubs have memberships?
Yes, they do. Yes, they do.
Yes.
So he had this VIP membership or whatever, and I was like Drake in there. I was in there, getting to know people personally. Hey, how you doing? What you doing in here?
Tell me about your
For
children.
college, tell me about your children. Tell me about your whole life story. I was that kind of guy, and I guess it may have made me appealing because I didn't care so much about them doing what they were doing in there.
Brittany said, Brittany said you could have lost a kidney.
Didn't your parents tell you not to talk to strangers? What you mean? She invited you to her house. You was just in the strip club, and you went to her crib. Like it's okay. Like you go to church with this.
How many times did y'all have sex that night, though?
How many times? Just one time.
We gotta let him finish the story.
Come on, man.
The story.
No, I mean, basically, it was just I was going there for some months, and
You going to the strip club or to her crib for months?
No, the strip club.
Were you spending money?
No, I
What?
was in there with a dude that had a VIP membership. He was buying drinks and all of that stuff.
But you didn't pay her after you had sex with her that night?
No.
That would make her a sex worker.
That's a sex worker.
It wasn't no WAP.
No, it wasn't none of that.
Sorry, go ahead.
She just she liked me. She invited me back to her place, and I came there, and maybe this sounds stupid. It might sound gullible, naive, whatever you guys might want to call it. But when I came there, I was completely like on some chill shit. But she had on like a gown, no panties, no bra.
A gown.
All right, I'm gonna interrupt right now, because we're gonna go to the next space. But I have to say this about Daniel. And he is literally one of my most favorite people because, he's so incredibly authentic. He's so incredibly real. He adds so much value to the brand and Tequila Tales. But and this is why I love that Brittany gives him shit, because see, Daniel is this this poet. What do they call it? A poet laureate or whatever. I don't know if I enunciated that the correct way, but he's this educated intellectual guy that always finds himself haphazardly into these ratchet ass situations.
I don't think he's slick.
Like he ain't that nigga, right? He try to pretend like he ain't the nigga that like he wasn't precipitating the shit somehow. Like he didn't lay out the breadcrumbs. So
his way to get chicks is to get them to feel bad for him. He always got a story, and I'd be like, "Yo,
what?
You're full of shit, dude."
No,
like, you know
okay,
what you
no,
was
come
doing,
on, come on. I need some examples. Break it on down.
I came with you. I can give video evidence of where you shared stories that I'm like, all right, yeah, everything sounded cool until you told me that little bit. I'm like, all right, nigga, whatever. Anyway, but we'll tap into that later. This is the next section.
Oh, hell no.
No, we'll tap into that. We're now talking about, I'm actually going to pass the mic to Casey because we talked about Pretty Woman, but now I want to talk about another very popular movie, which was The Little Mermaid, right? So for this next movie classic, we're turning it over to Casey.
We're talking about the 1989 version. Yes. Okay. So when you asked me about this, that was the first thing that came to mind because that was my favorite movie as a kid. And it's super unrealistic, as Tina said. But I think what grabbed me was first of all, she was 16. That's a different story. But she gave up, her fins for legs so she could be with her man that she didn't know very well. Or at all. But that also meant that she would never see her family again. It doesn't matter if this guy was a total tool. She could never go back because that also meant she could probably not breathe underwater or any of that. So when you brought this up, I was like, I don't know what happened to them. If they fell out, she's just stuck there because she doesn't know anyone else. She had
Sebastian.
Sebastian is in the sea, okay? She can't.
She had no friends.
She had no friends. Eric was her one and only.
I was totally a mermaid.
Yeah, okay.
In your bathtub at 7.
I embodied the entire experience.
She's look at this fucking wave. Look at this wave in my hair.
I was totally a mermaid as a kid. That was my thing.
Think about that.
Loved it.
It was a bird.
The way she just broke it down, though, right? They made so many young, impressionable little girls want to aspire to be that. But as Kate, and she'll playfully break it down, but I'm like, that shit was hella toxic. Like,
Oh, it was
Casey,
problematic.
I think you posted
A lot of
that
movies like that
too.
though.
like
Casey, I think you posted that a couple, I don't know, I saw that on maybe a podcast that you all did or a video that Tequila Tales posted, and I was like thinking about how all of the old school Disney movies were problematic. And one of my girlfriends, hey Jenna, she gave me her Disney Plus login so that I could watch Black is King. But I tried to watch Sleeping Beauty, which is my favorite movie, and I was like, wait, this movie doesn't talk about consent.
No,
Right? Like, and also, why
her.
are all the girls 16? And you're right, with the Little Mermaid, it's like you're gonna give up everything at 16 for this dude. But a
You
lot
don't
of
even know him.
you
Wait,
don't know
hold on, you
him.
guys. So number
Right,
one,
but it also showed. Go ahead, Tina. My bad.
so Disney didn't create any of these things. So let's like that. These are old like stories that already existed. She's actually 14 and not 16. So that's
oh my god.
and she was
But
put
that's
in
how
an
it was back
impossible.
then.
Yeah, that's how it was. But
That's
she
how it was. You got
also
married and had kids at 12. The moment you started your period, you were ready to be married off and save your family and
exactly
your children. The younger you were, the more desirable you were. That's how it was. Like, I mean,
Well,
and
Britt,
she was
just to
put in an
correct.
impossible situation too. Like she was going to risk.
Girl, you are not telling us that the Little Mermaid was put in an impossible situation.
Girl, I'm saying the original story. The original story was if she didn't go and get like the prince to fall in love with her, there were going to be repercussions to her family. So I'm
No,
saying,
we're
Is this a mafia story? What
She got fascinated with that
did you
fork.
watch?
all the original like Hans.
Who made the original?
We're talking about the Disney version.
No, but I'm saying, like, she still, like, didn't Ursula say, like, hey, like, I have your boy, like, I stole your boys, right?
Hey, girl, I got your man.
I got your boys. And
no, she took her voice. She couldn't speak.
You,
And she got that man to fall in love with her. And she
Yeah.
hadn't uttered a word. She
So
hadn't
it's
uttered
not
a
that-
word.
She also combed her hair with a fork, but I mean,
Right. Listen, that was a pig. Like, that still works.
She was from the sea. She didn't know how to use the fork.
Her throw out. She's trying
Wait,
to
Don't do her
who
like
made the
that.
original? Tina, who made the original?
It's like Hans Hammerstein, or I forget Heimerstein. I forget what the original name is. But he, like, they basically created all of these like Disney things. But basically, Ursula stole her boys, so she was put
No. She well, in the Disney version, which
She
is what
gave it up.
she gave her voice so that she could have the opportunity to try to win him over and get her legs or whatever.
A white man that had money.
Isaac, stop.
He just happened to be there.
He has money. Lisa Ray
But
learned that.
he fell in love with her and she had never spoken. So to me, I thought that was pretty awesome. Like she was so like.
She was such a bad bitch. She didn't even have to use her voice.
she walked like Bambi.
Red hair.
Like, yeah, like I hear y'all what you saying.
Hair, like she was like
Brittany
She
keyed
couldn't
in on
walk
the
in
hair.
heels.
Brittany was like, bitch, did you see her hair? She snagged that man. It was like,
ooh, everywhere.
It was that high fork.
Hey, I hear what y'all are saying right now, and then I think about like I'm dating my girl. I've never seen her before, and I'm having to latch on to everything outside of like the physical aspect of it.
Right.
So it's yeah.
See, Lex feels me. But okay, so say you
But wait. I'm sorry. I kind of wanted to hit on that though, right? Like, I don't think that's necessarily a hard thing if you're dealing with somebody with some intellect and great conversation. But for somebody that can't talk at all to fall for them and you never heard them speak, like
these men fall
Right.
for birds.
Wait.
Girl.
But like,
wait a minute, what you say? Action for birds? Is that what
I
you
said
said?
these men fall for fucking birds. Have you ever dated someone and you were like, damn, you fucked it up the moment you spoke? I wish you were like Ariel and didn't talk.
I have. I can testify.
That's awesome.
That is so
I got a friend of
shallow.
mine that
Daniel was making a point, I thought.
I'm sorry.
I think I kind of said what I was going to say,
I'm
but
sorry.
I wouldn't say that. Yeah, I've been in that situation.
But
been
Daniel,
arrested.
have you ever been with somebody and you were like, damn, this was going so good until you started speaking?
Yes.
And I can't
Yes.
get past the fact that you sound like a bird.
And a bird could be a man or a woman or a non-binary person. It's neutral.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Won't it depend on the situationship?
I mean, everyone's a bird. Like you could be a bird who's married. You could be a bird who's
Some people love birds at the nighttime, so
like
no
you
care.
do. Rob, you are a whole ass fucking fuck boy on this
Wait.
podcast.
Whoa, hold
Don't
on.
do Rob. Don't
Wait,
do
hold
Rob.
on. Rob's been through 2 phases of life. All right.
Rob, are you a Leo? Because people who speak
No, I'm
about
a Gemini.
themselves, oh,
I'm a
it's even
Gemini.
worse. Even worse.
But
I've lived 2 separate. Like I've been a bad dude, the fuck boy, whatever you want to call it. But I've been a good dude too. You know, I have a base to me. You know, I had something happen and I just went left for a while.
You had something happen and you chose not to go to therapy and heal from it. Is that what you said? I missed it. I'm sorry. Say that again.
Yeah. No, that's correct.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Hey, Rob.
Back to you in the
And I
studio.
took it out on a lot of women through a lot of
Hold
years.
you down, Rob.
Look at you.
Nah,
I'm
she ain't holding nothing down. It's the truth. It's the truth. One thing about me, I'm straight up about what I've gone through.
Be honest.
Rob, have you decided to heal? Have we inspired you to handle your to get your
Oh yeah.
that closet?
No. I already been handled it. So I'm bipolar too. So I already went to therapy and I already earned a lot of that stuff out. So that all kind of went hand in hand, according to my doctor. It went hand in hand over those periods of years. Girl, you know what? For a long time, I used to use that as the excuse.
No,
but then I had to come to terms.
Trust me.
I had to come to terms with it. But it's okay, you know. The good thing is by the time that I really got diagnosed, most of the people that's really involved in my life already knew the good side of me or whatever. They didn't look at me any differently. It's just that I knew from a diagnosis standpoint of what I needed to do and behavioral changes, because a lot of people think it's meds, but it's really behavioral, how you tackle things in life. Some people keep doing the same thing, you get the same result. You got to start changing what you do.
Rob, I'm really proud of you for feeling vulnerable enough with us to even like disclose that, because I know there's a lot of stigma around it. And I'm really happy that you're even being like able to step up and say like, yeah, I was able to have a lot of issues before I was able to go to a doctor. It was attributed to being bipolar and I've worked on it, because I think that when people, especially Black people, think of bipolar, you think of Kanye, you think of someone who's very famous and very like, who's very public, and you see the downsides of it, but it's a disorder that affects millions of people. And I'm like, thank you for even being able to like acknowledge it. I'm not saying that you are a fuckboy because of that. You're like, oh, I used to use it as an excuse, but I went to a doctor and they got me together. So I appreciate that.
A lot of it. You know what it is? It's when I was younger, I didn't know how to deal with my emotions. So that resulted in a lot of lashing out. I used to say a lot of stuff out of my mouth, you know, just whenever. And you know, just as time went on, and one thing about it that I always tell people is I've always been very good at self-reflection. So it wasn't that I didn't know what was going on. It's just that when you keep telling yourself that there was nothing wrong with what you did, that's when the problem started. Like, I'm very big on telling people that I had narcissistic ways when I was younger. People don't believe you can grow out of that, but I do, because like I said, behavioral changes. When you begin to start changing your behavior.
You drop your therapist. Can you add your therapist info in the comments for the live chat? Because a narcissist is the hardest. My therapist told me, since I dated a narcissist, that's the hardest disorder to treat because they don't even admit they had a problem. So the fact that you are a living testimony, I think it's because you're a Gemini and not a Leo. But can you add your therapist info so that we can give them some coinage and some business?
I would.
Me and you gonna fight. You keep talking about Leos like
Girl,
that.
I'm talking about men, not you.
I swear to God. Okay.
And Leos are a lot. I'm related to like 100.
So are the lady Leos.
Yes.
So are they. There's no exception in that.
Is ridiculous.
No. Like Brittany, you total 100%. I love me some Leos, but y'all are some crazy motherfuckers. Like, and there is no, and I'm even saying, look, and my man,
He's just nodding.
You,
like,
like,
he tried not to nod.
Right, he like giving me the. I already knew what that look meant. I get it, bro. I get it. But however, so we talked about the Little Mermaid real quick. let's talk about Hitch. I don't know how many of you all have seen this smash movie Hitch, right? With Will Smith. For those of you all that need a refresher, Alex Hitchens was a professional date doctor who makes a living teaching men how to woo women. Unfortunately, while helping his latest client woo the woman of his dreams, he finds out that his game doesn't quite work on the gossip columnist with whom he's smitten. So the movie obviously ends with Kevin James winning the heart of the multimillionaire bombshell that's aggressively out of his league. Let's just put that out there. A cute movie that, if I recall, and I think the movie ended with them getting married, right? So the first question is do you think Allegra made that nigga sign a prenup? That's the first question that we need to ask. But secondly, how long do you think the two of them could sustain a relationship with such a large disparity of wealth between the two of them? Right? So, like, I mean, yeah, we're talking about Hitch, which is supposed to be a cute movie, but I'm also talking about the day after, right? Like, yeah, oh, it ends. Yes, I would love to be the chunky guy that gets to deal with this sexy bombshell multi-millionaire. Like, all of it is fucking poppycock, right? But
I disagree.
I don't know, bro. Yeah.
Both of y'all said y'all disagree. All right, well, let me shut up.
I wanna hear what Clarence has to say.
Yeah, right, what y'all got to say? Okay.
Good evening, everyone. First and foremost, please accept my apologies for my abrupt leaving last trip around. I was out of town on vacation and other things were happening. But here,
it sounds low.
I have an associate in New York who's, how can I say this? He's young. He's about 10 years older than me. So yeah, he's young. Quite well off. He's a financial guy, you know. Maybe he's a little bit on the heavier side. I don't personally see that. But what I do see is that the last person that he was dating really did fall for him. You know, and I was thinking to myself, oh, okay. And I'm not going to say names just in case, you know, he ever chimes into the Tequila Tales.
Because Brittany want names, but go ahead.
No. I can't do names because that's unfair. You know.
Yes, don't worry about it.
That's extremely unfair. However, you know, I was always concerned because at first, like he made a pass at me, and I was just like, well, you know, at that point in time in my life, I was young, superficial. We were at this New Year's Eve party. This is back when the tsunami happened, and you know, we're in this Upper East Side. Condo partying, and I was just like, you know, no. I'm like, shit, you can't do anything for me because, you know, I mean, girls, come on, let's keep it real. Yeah, I swing from it. We can make it happen. But I just didn't see that being something. And although I found him to be very nice as a person, like I'd hang out with him, we've got really great taste in music, I didn't see the sexual thing. Now, the person that he got with, I was just like, ugh. This is back in the day. I was just like, ugh. And then I had to think about it. It was the emotional, you know, attachment that was needed. It was something that was in greater depth. You know, now I personally felt that maybe it was because of finances, you know, but the grand scheme of things, fast forward a few years later, they were still together. I said, so it must have been really good in addition to the finances. So, I mean, just because one person has an abundance of tenders to use, that's a nice way to put it, to use to captivate and keep an individual, doesn't necessarily mean
an abundance of tenders to captivate and keep an individual. Clarence, your SAT score must have been like
it was like, let's not even get into all that. You know, I took it 3 times, by the way, trying to get a perfect score.
Okay.
I didn't achieve.
Entanglements. He gave us the next version of entanglements. He's like,
well,
there's some ratchet shit, but you saying it hella.
I'm trying to say it on a you know, on
very
a
eloquent.
Yes, as opposed to calling someone like what do you call them?
Doesn't matter. You said it perfectly.
Thank you. You know, so I mean, they managed to work it out. And the funny thing is that he'd come to Chicago and we'd hang out, and I'd be like, so how's such and such? Oh, we're doing really, really well. You know,
What
this
does
is that
hang
and
out
the other.
mean?
No,
What is
like go out to the club, go out to dinner. You know, this is a very classy friendship. You
what's
know, nothing.
classy?
You say what?
Classy.
What do you mean classy? Like I'm not
Well, you
like
know, some people double back or whatever, and try to hook up, especially if they feel like they've left out or lost out on something. That's not my MO. I don't do that. You know, once the door is closed, it's closed. So yeah, so you know, we were hanging out because we've got some mutual friends. Like another one of our friends is in politics, you know, works with the governor of New York currently. Um, you know, direct relation, like maybe
humble
2, 3.
fucking brag. Clarence, you aren't even trying to be subtle. You're like direct relationship,
No, but I mean,
direct
here's the
relationship,
thing.
direct.
Well, here's the thing is that the person that I'm talking about was, you know, kind of on the larger side. And I don't feel that that was, I felt that when people viewed him, they missed him. They missed his personality because they just viewed him as the external. Now, I'm not going to lie. When he made the pass at me, I was just like, you know what? I don't think that you got the right tool for me.
Why?
And
Why
I
did you
don't
think
fake.
that?
You know, child, I don't fake. My ex is like 11 inches. I don't play the game.
Aisha, you ignored the tool. Like, I don't think you realized what tool he was referring to.
Well,
Right.
he keeps body. So it's hard for me to follow because he keeps body shaming this guy that I was like, I thought he was fat, but you're talking about his dick was small. So I missed
I'm
it.
talking about, I didn't even want to try to figure it out because I knew it wasn't going to rise to the occasion for what I was already
You're
accustomed
saying
to.
that when he wore gray sweats that you didn't see what you needed to see to move things forward.
No, how about this? How about I'm saying that in the midst of our party for New Year's Eve, there, you rubbed up against me and there was nothing that bounced back.
You were like, bye wig.
I was just like, oh, this is cute, but I'm okay.
We're all good.
For you, size means something. For other people, it might not. She might not.
Maybe at that point, wait a second. Now, in today's terms, it really is not about, well, there is a level. You know, we all have a level, and so it doesn't have to necessarily be like what my ex had.
What did your ex have?
Girl, keep up.
I'm sorry.
No,
I'm sorry. Served by Babe Rose.
Lord, where are we going? I almost don't even remember what the original.
No. I remember.
Isaac.
Y'all fucking me down the path. I'm like, okay, this is.
But Big Mama, but real quick, Casey,
Where are we going?
well, Big Mama used to say that some people are growers and some people are showers.
Yeah,
Clarence,
definitely.
You never know. That's what Big Mama said.
That's something you like.
Well, here's the thing: the way that we were getting down up in there.
But in
Okay,
reality, I don't think that that's really true.
So let me just break it down for you. The way that we were getting down up in there that night, I was a voyeur for a couple of people who got it on. So I know who had what, when they had what, although in all fairness, I did not participate, but I do like to watch.
Look at you trying not to be a hoe. It's okay. You can live your life.
No, honey. Once I'm in my relationship, I'm all of that.
Okay, so I'm gonna answer what I think Isaac's question was, which was
the question was.
I remember what it was. I remember what he asked. He said he asked if there were a prenup included and if that relationship would last, being that there's such a major difference in the finances.
Right. So number one, yes, I think she had him sign a prenup. I don't even think that was on the table. But number two, I think it was probably more of an uphill battle than what they made it. Like, it was all very cute and all of that in the beginning, but he was just an accountant, and she, from what I understand, was not only sort of a trust fund, but relatively famous and all of that. So I think that they probably had some bumps in the road, but at the same time, she may have been really, really appreciative of that because she's tired of the superficiality from men who are just trying to get with her because of her status or who she is. And they may have money too, but sometimes that gets old depending on you know, how often she was dealing with that kind of thing. If she was dealing with like a Rob who's like a fuck boy or whatever, no, I'm just playing Rob. You know, but if she was dealing with dudes that were just like, I'm tired of this. Like I want something real, someone that actually sees my value as a human. It could have went well, and some people make that work forever. So,
Casey, I agree with you. I think that all of that stuff gets old when you're with someone and it's not about what your needs actually are. All of that shit gets old. Whether it's the physical looks or it's shit that doesn't like, who is this actual person when you're left alone with them? Who are they, and do they take care of you in the way that you need? Right. And it's okay. Like, and sometimes that comes in a person that you may want to keep hidden because they don't look like what you want your friend. Maybe you don't want to tag them in a post. But like a lot of people pass up on good ass people who satisfy their needs because they don't aesthetically look like what they may want to scream about.
Right. So wait a minute, to ask both of you guys, both Aisha and Casey, like, do you all feel like is there anything wrong with that? Is there anything wrong with a person that feels that way? Like that I'm feeling this kind of way about this person, but like to the point that you just made. I don't necessarily want to get tagged in a post with that.
Nothing is wrong with that. I think that the things that I think that the only time I think something's wrong with it is when someone bitches and moans about who they're dating, and it's like, this is who you're choosing, and if you have this big issue, then like fucking deal with it. Like, be okay with what you want. And usually it's external motivators that are like, you're not okay because of something else outside of you. Everyone else isn't in your relationship. Are you happy with the way this person satisfies you? If you are, cool. But a lot of times people look outside of themselves, whether it's not even friends, but family, their status, their income, even in this conversation, y'all have referenced sex workers like, ooh, can we even acknowledge them as human beings and people who have a job? It's like, a lot of these people don't have stable employment. They got a stable ass job. People are subscribed to OnlyFans accounts and people are making money off of this. Like, I think that we have to think about the things that actually matter to us. And does this person show up for you in a way that satisfies you? And fuck everybody else.
You mean Carmen San Diego, Aisha?
Wait a minute.
No, but yes.
Hold on, you guys. I'm about to share something.
Oh, right.
I'm about to read this. I need everybody
you will
to
not
read
shame
this.
her.
I need everybody to read this because we talked about this earlier, and I already had this meme queued up.
I hate that you posted this.
No, I actually want to have a conversation about this because this is what we talked about earlier. Now, first off, this is a different, like, this is some Photoshop shit. That ain't real. This is a troll.
I know people
but this is real for some people.
No. I mean,
He's
this
very
picture,
much so in the wrong.
I'm saying this picture isn't real.
But I've seen this picture be real.
No, there are women that have bodies like this who birth whole ass children.
Right.
Exactly.
I couldn't tell if it was a man or woman.
No, I'm just saying that I later found out that particular picture wasn't the real thing. I later found out that this picture was a photoshopped picture, and when I saw it in the thread, a person was like, "Yo, y'all are being trolled." But the conversation I thought was so poignant that I was just like, "Okay, this is kind of interesting," and we talked about it earlier. And because I feel like it's hitting on a couple of different things. So the reason I threw it up there, and even off of what you just said, Aisha, that triggered it, you know, we're talking about the day after, right? How many men want to get married, have the white picket fence, have a fucking, you know, have children, but they don't understand all the elements that go into this life that they say they want, right? Like,
can I ask you a question?
Go for it.
So, okay, there's a lead up. It's short. Mike was like doing something funny
my husband. So he was doing something funny and I took a video of it and he was like, wow, I've never seen my balls before in a video. Like they're saggy. And he's like, ugh. And so I wonder how many men have seen a video of their saggy ass balls, because before we put this woman who incubated a child, like, and we put her body up there for commentary, I wonder how many men have seen what their aging bodies look like. And I'm not gonna shame any, like, we get old, we die, like it happens, but like we're looking at this woman's body and she birthed a baby, and whether it was photoshopped or not, I know women who look like that. And it's like, but like, have you seen your balls?
Oh no. And
everybody,
I want everybody to come in. The only reason that I said is because what I ended up learning was that if you look at that photo close enough, that actually is a guy's balls, like a sack of a man's balls transposed on a woman's stomach, and they did some Photoshop shit. So that's where the guy was like, y'all are being trolled. It was meant to play off of the fact that we got shit on our body that looks like that, but yet we're judging women. However, I've seen women that have.
You gotta explain to Lex what you just shared, because he cannot.
I'm sorry. So it was and you know what? Thank you, Casey. I apologize. So I just shared an image of a woman who had she had just had surgery, and I'm actually read the meme. The meme says, so my girlfriend had our baby 12 weeks ago. I love my girlfriend and even planned on proposing to her. She lost the baby weight, but her stomach is covered in stretch marks and it's saggy. It's hard for me to be intimate with her because it's a turnoff. I've offered to help pay for surgery to fix it, but she says no every time. I'm at the point where I want to break up with her. I will be there 100% for my child, just not with her anymore. Am I wrong for wanting to break up over this? Real answer, please. So this ain't no real posted this shit, right? But like the way that they made her stomach look, it was a ton of stretch marks. But what I later found out was somebody actually took a fucking balls sack and like put it on her stomach and blended the shit. So it was funny that Aisha said what she said. Like, have you all seen how your balls look? I'm like, yeah, what I later found out was this is actually somebody's balls. However, we have seen women with stretch marks like that, and I thought that this narrative was creative as we're talking about today.
The women on the call feel who are moms who have had their bodies changed, maybe not to that.
Mom to have stretch marks, like stretch marks.
And everybody has cellulite. Everybody has stretch marks.
Okay,
it's not. It's
but can we be honest? Having children changes your body in a way different than like normal.
Just having children.
Brittany, go ahead.
So here's the thing. So my shit don't look like that, but it looked like I've had 2 kids. And for any man who feels like they can't deal with that, like you're to me, that is just that's just some low shit. Like at the end of the day, do you know how many women who have issues with having children, with bearing children? And for women who can bear children and give life, it's a gift. It's really a blessing, regardless of how the baby got here and who the hell is with. Having a healthy child, and even a child that may need additional assistance, whatever, providing life is a gift. It's a blessing with what you were put here to do. So for a man to get down, woman looks fine on the outside. She take her clothes off, y'all getting ready to get real, and you step back and be like, what the fuck is that? You need your ass beat. Like, to me, I just feel like that's the most insensitive thing that you could do. And it just comes off so disrespectful because it is extremely bigger than your superficial issues that you have with the stretch marks and the fact that, yes, you are pregnant for 9 months. Your stomach extends like to the brink. Of course, it's going to be kind of different. And some women hold it differently. Some women, it look like they've never had kids after they've had kids, and other women, them kids leave a freaking breadcrumbs behind. You know what I'm saying? So
that's a good word. I like
it
that.
is just what it is. You know what I'm saying? But at the end of the day, when you learn that she's had a child, whether it be through cesarean or natural birth, that is not something that should be posted online and had discussions about whether or not you should stay in a relationship. You should have never even been with your bitch ass if that was the beginning. Like if that's what you're equating the relationship to, not because of you guys' personalities and how y'all work together, but because of her stress marks from bearing your kid. Like that's terrible.
Yeah.
Isn't that preference though?
Brittany, I agree with you.
Preference. Your body is your body.
But wait, isn't it a preference though?
You agreed to have that baby.
But it's a
baby.
Listen, what I'm saying is this.
Erectile dysfunction after he had the baby, and she's like, "Well, it's my preference to have somebody who doesn't have erectile dysfunction."
Hello. Hello.
Yeah, so it's still a preference. It's still a preference.
This is literally
If he chooses not to stay with her because she develops stretch marks, that's his preference. He prefers not to be with somebody with stretch marks. So if you have a preference that doesn't fall with
some bitch
don't be that shallow.
I'm being devil's advocate. I'm not saying that I agree with it, but
that's like low down dirty shame the movie.
That does not count as a preference. If a woman
still a preference.
Hold on one second, everybody. I just have a quick question. Ike, is the children's father, was that the person who was that's the preference? That was their children, or it was just a woman who had kids?
No. It was his child.
Okay.
Right? But because you got everybody muted, just to add a caveat to it, it's yes, it was his child, and it was something that he loved. I think what made this meme so egregious was the fact that it wasn't just tiger stripes, right? Right? Like you have some men, okay, again, I'm an anomaly, so I'm not speaking about me, but I'm just saying that I think that there are men that are comfortable with, regardless of their levels of superficiality, they are comfortable with a certain level of just humanness that we all, experience. But then what was unique about this meme was that it showed the extreme. It showed where, this woman had a child and her body looked completely different, right? Like significantly different. And so now we're not just talking about whether or not he understands the beauty of childbirth and like, oh, fuck him. It's him understanding I can love her as being the mother of my child, but I'm not physically attracted to this thing that has happened, which I don't know about women, but with men, our performance is directly correlated with our attraction to you. Meaning, I could want to fucking
clarify that, please.
Yes, I could want to wear you out all night long. My dick ain't gonna get hard if when I look at your body, I'm not aroused. Right. So I'm speaking completely in a Raymer term. Some people can rise above that. Some people can go above that and they can be like, oh, this is the mother of my child, and this is where I'm at. And for individuals that can do that, let's commend them and let's understand it and respect it. But there are some people who are so physically attached to something where if they got with you because they liked this. Now I'm not saying it's right or it's wrong. I'm saying the guy didn't say I was gonna leave. He said, yo, can we get some surgery just so we can smooth that down? And so he wasn't saying I don't rock with you no more. He was just saying I'm no longer physically attracted to you. And he understood that it's going to play a part in our relationship. And that's what we talked about earlier. I thought it was absurd when Jacinta shared 4.5 pounds. And I'm like, that's some fuck shit. But let's take the next level of that. a 30,
He
40
said help pay for it. He didn't say
30
pay for it. There's a difference.
I want to
No, but
chime in on this.
also surgery may not fix it, and the fact that Black women are more at a higher risk of dying just giving birth themselves, and after you give birth, that's not the end. Your body changes. There's hormones. There's other complications. He's an asshole. Like, that's the bottom line. He's an asshole. He's not a good partner.
I want to chime in real quick. So I think that there needs to be some distinct difference between, you know, how somebody may be turned off by an excessive amount of weight gain even after having a child versus stretch marks. Stretch marks, they tell a story, right? Especially after you've had a child, they tell a story of creation, and there is so much beauty in that. I've never known any man that has been like, oh no, you got these little, you know, scars or marks from having a child, so I can't deal with you. I think that's absolutely ridiculous. Or even you think about the amount of weight that's put on in the midst of pregnancy. You still have guys that will willingly have sex with the woman that's bearing their child, or even men outside of that want to have sex with this woman that is bearing a child. But I think there has to be some you know, differences in place about what those things are. I
Daniel, this is how you get all the fucking panties thrown your way, because you're just like, listen, I just need to advocate for my women who are bearing our children.
Full of it.
What?
I don't believe it.
Panties.
I cannot
They
have
are
an opinion.
USPS to you.
This is ridiculous.
Y'all have to stop this. Lex, it sounded
It's
like you wanted
terrible.
to jump in.
Yeah, no, I was definitely going to say I feel like I was side on all of the ladies here, specifically because I think about I've never seen what tiger stripes look like. I don't know. I can't speak on that, but I do feel like the pure fact that you gave birth and we have another life on this planet should outweigh absolutely any sort of physical change that you may see. I just feel like that's crazy. And I think that also too, I mean, that's like a natural thing. And I heard Rob, he was talking about playing devil's advocate. Like birth is that's natural. And I think about my situation where like I live life without being able to see. I'm blind. And I'm totally cool with that. But I wouldn't classify that as a natural thing. I would say that if I'm traversing through life and someone says, well, okay, well, I can't see myself with this person because like he can't see me, then as much as I may be irritated or frustrated about it, I would just be like, all right, cool, I get that. Like there's plenty of other people out there like that. That's what I would identify as a preference. But for my girl to push out another life and her body changes because of that, like we just gonna figure out how to
you
rock.
kiss them stretch marks.
You
Don't y'all remember hearing Cat
But I mean,
had a whole thing about this.
Is it something that you can feel? Is it something that you can feel though? I don't. And I'm asking.
No, feel a little bit more ass in your hand.
I'll tell you the only difference
feel the
is
stretch mark.
You feel the stretch
a
mark.
little different. That's it. The
You said
skin
so you
may
can't
not-
feel the
not
stretch
like
mark.
you'll feel
Yeah.
like indentations, but just the skin may feel a little bit more
Yeah, the skin is
elasticity to it.
I mean,
Okay.
men have stretch marks too. Are we not gonna talk about
Right.
Okay.
And one of the things Big Mama used to
Hold
say,
on.
like when she
Omar,
would see
you
that.
Big Mama.
No, Big Mama would see stretch marks on the girl, and she would say she didn't use cocoa butter while she was pregnant, right? Because you use the cocoa butter, it alleviates.
That's
the
the
wrinkles,
old
right? So
wives'
you don't
tale.
get.
It don't
No,
work.
Big Mama
Oh,
says it worked. Big Mama says it works.
Big Mama also got
trying to mansplain.
so she's
Big
not
Mama's
really
never wrong.
making all
Right,
that.
don't a mansplain for him, Bree.
Big
Girl,
Mama is never wrong. Big Mama's never
Big-
wrong. She played the lottery
listen,
every day.
Omar,
She win all the time.
you were wrong. Big Mama is wrong. That's not how it works. So let's just stop moving on.
Hey,
Next
she's
episode.
Big Mama's wise old lady. She's a wise old lady.
Not that
I'm gonna go to this to our last space because we're rounding up. But I do want to say this much. And you know, there are times I'll playfully act as devil's advocate. here is the reality of what Tequila Tales is, and it's intentional. We intentionally gather a group of who we consider to be very diverse, but also very intellectual individuals to have this discussion. So regardless of what level we're having it on, I always internally feel like we're all of similar spirit, right? And as much as I can enjoy that from a conversation perspective, it's one of the reasons why I feel this internal need to push back, right? Because I, as woke as we can all be, I also understand that, and I don't know if I'm saying if I'm going to articulate it the correct way, but I feel like the majority of the people that are not only on this call but that have interacted with just everything we've done up to this point, we kind of represent that talented 10th, right? What they used to call the talented 10th, right? So it's like, yeah, we can sit from our highly lauded or intellectual spaces or our comfort spaces, but like, and I'm not even saying that meme came from a real person. It doesn't come from a real person. But what I'm saying is that there are certain people, you know, everything that every man on this call said. Oh man, that was the mother of your child. You supposed to do this. You supposed to kiss the stretch marks. I 100% wholeheartedly agree with you. But I understand that I'm an anomaly, right? We are speaking not only for, but to the individuals who may exist in a different realm, right? And they have different priorities than we have, right? Like there are some people whose primary motivation is their physical attraction to a person. And we may call them superficial. It's not that they're superficial, it's just that that's what turns them on, right? And so as much as we talk about shaming people, we sometimes intellectually can shame other people who don't fit into our compartmentalized groupings of like how we think people should be. And so even when you read that meme, and that was what was so unique about reading the meme to me, was he wasn't shitting on her. He wasn't saying all this other type of stuff. He was a man that was sharing, I've been involved with this woman that I'm attracted to. She had my child that I wanted to have. I love it. But now I'm seeing some disfiguration in her body, and I'm knowing that some surgery can correct it. She doesn't want to do it, and now I'm turned off. And it feels like the only solution that we've been giving him is, nigga, you need to be a better person. Nigga, like, are we joking? We all like different shit. Some of us like tall people. Some of us like short people.
It comes along with the territory. But it comes along with the territory. If you get a woman pregnant, her body changes. Don't get a woman.
Not all women though. Not all women though.
Stop. Listen. I'm gonna have to stop you. I'm gonna have to stop you.
You guys. Please stop him, Aisha, because he.
We can't all talk at once.
So Brittany on the call, Bree, we jokingly, her nickname in our friend group is Abs. She's had a child. She still has abs. But Brittany is someone whose body changed to birth a child, but she was a collegiate track athlete. So her body went back to what that is. Everyone's body doesn't do that. But like she's an example of someone whose body still looks like, quote, she didn't have a child, but there's people who haven't had children whose bodies may look like they've had children. You can't shame people for how they naturally look. If that's your preference, find somebody else, but don't be with somebody and shame them for how they naturally are and no, that's not what you want.
But do you feel like he was shaming her though? He wasn't shaming her.
I said he posted a whole ass post on the internet to get the community's
body, and then
I don't think that was real, Aisha. That wasn't real.
To make it look even worse. So it's like you can't Photoshop something just to make it look even worse and say that you're not shaming somebody. You know, at the end of the day, majority of people who have children, their bodies are not going to look the same. And so it's like, if you're not ready for that kind of commitment, then don't even go that route. It reminds me of people who are like, I'm gonna put a baby in you, but you don't want to marry me. And so it's like you're talking about the baby before you're even talking about like this longer commitment. And it's like, if that's the case, don't bring a kid into that.
Yeah.
Shit, most men's bodies grow while their woman's going through the pregnancy. Shit. I see some homies come out with stomachs bigger than they girl.
Okay, honestly, like
Maybe what the ladies need to do would be to take a photo.
Hold on, Clarence.
Sorry.
Go
Like
ahead,
so
Vanessa.
me and my sister, we're identical twins. We're completely we're identical, but we're different. So what she likes and what her partner likes is 100% different than what me and my partner like. And we do not agree on anything, like at all. But like what she likes and what her partner likes is 100% different. Like he's gonna like her for her, and he's gonna like me for me. Like you can't say, well, we're twins, we're gonna like the same thing. It's it's never gonna be the same thing. Like you can't say we're the same person, we're gonna like the same thing. Never gonna happen with us.
The only thing we agree on is that we don't agree on anything.
100%.
Well, may I chime in?
Please.
Maybe what the male needs is for someone to take a photo and to say to him, okay, so you want to put a baby in this, but can you deal with this afterwards? Like, this is a picture of the perfect family, but this is how I'm going to really look. Can you love me afterwards?
Are we hearing a lot
Clarence, these dudes don't love
Can I talk real quick? Are we hearing a lot of men like leaving the women that they're impregnating afterwards because of this issue? I feel like we aren't. Like I've seen a lot of men accepting these women's bodies the way that they are. So I feel like this is like a rare occurrence, maybe like less than 1%.
Yeah, and I also wonder if it's not a bad idea to shame them. So, it's if you decided to make a baby with someone and then all of a sudden her body isn't the preference that you had, because I believe in preferences. I understand where you were going, Rob. I hear what you're saying. I was your problematic ass. But I also wonder if a person could watch their significant other or the mother of their child go through something so dramatic. This is a life-changing thing. You brought a human into the world, and I had the audacity to say, this is it's now difficult for me to be turned on by her. You could talk to your therapist about that, and that's cool. But to put it out there in that way is insane. And yes, you should for the most part, I'm not into shaming people for their truth, but you need to know.
But for right now, you're gonna shame them for their truth.
100%, because that's some bullshit. Like, unless you are willing to figure out how you can do it, like you need to deal with what comes with that. Like you can't do.
Wait a minute. Okay, so here's my question. Here, and this is the honest to God real thing that I'm trying to say about this. There are times in life where it's not about right or wrong, right? Because I feel like if we're being honest and we trace back our situations and circumstances and the whole nine, we can all point to certain moments in our lives where we did the thing that we thought was the right thing to do. It was the right thing to do overall, but it was the wrong thing for us, right? And so imagine that guy that knows, I am no longer physically attracted to my woman, but he says, but you know what? Nah, I wanted this child and I'm going to do this. And he's just marching down. He's marching down for the next 5, 10, 15, 20 years. He's there. He's present. He is the ideal man that every woman say that they want.
Isaac, so many men gain weight.
Hold on. Let me finish painting this picture so that you all can effectively respond. He's doing everything that the guy that a woman says they want the guy to do. However, he cannot change his anatomy. So what he's not doing is he isn't as turned on to her as he once was. They were having sex 3-4 times a week, and now they're having sex.
What does he look like?
hopefully
Right.
2,
What
3
does he
times.
look like though? We're acting
Ugly.
like women are the only ones who change.
But Aisha though, but for us to get
Lame.
into that,
Talking
the
about
moment that we get into that, the moment that we get into that, now we're getting
Ah.
into another space where it's like it's tit for tat, right? Because and the only reason that meme triggers women is because it's about women. I can
Right.
post another
It's
fucking
real.
meme. I can post another
Exactly
meme
right.
about men where women would be like, "Oh yeah, dump that nigga right there," and we're like, "Oh well, I thought I was supposed to be the guy that."
Hell yeah.
I think that he
You know what I'm
needs to
saying?
do
Baby
some
doll.
self-reflection.
Can't talk at
right?
the same
Like,
time. Go ahead, Tina.
he needs to do some self-respect, like some self-reflection. Like, are you into your partner because of only their body? Because if that is what the case is, like, you need to be with somebody who isn't having children. Like,
Right.
if you have a relationship, you should be able to have intimacy in every kind of way. And clearly he needs to do some like self-reflection, some journaling, some kind of, come to Jesus kind of conversation to figure out what is the issue. Because the body is an excuse.
But see, okay, so here's another caveat. And I apologize to have to use this as a reasoning, but it was something that was brought up in this conversation, right? Brittany, you mentioned that the gentleman that you're sitting next to that I fucking rock with, and that's my guy, you all sex is amazing, right? And you even shared in your past relationship, it was not awesome like that, right? But now you've become aware of something that has always been significant, but now you're realizing, oh shit, I'm tapping into something now that is incredibly important, right? When you shared that shit, I didn't look at Jared and say, oh man, yeah, he's just a nigga with muscles that's piping her down. I was like, no, he's doing everything that he's supposed to be doing, but she's also been able to tap into the fact that you love having sex with your man. I'm not going to automatically turn into a bad thing, right? Me liking my woman's body, I should not be shamed for liking my woman's body as if us as human beings are not supposed to be physically attracted to one another. So I get it. Childbirth is huge. However, what you're telling me is deny what I feel physically in this moment because, oh, this is something that's more special. And me, Daniel, Omar, all the niggas that's on this call.
Can we ask the women whose bodies have actually changed?
Are
But
those guys? I'm just saying.
I feel like we're putting too much energy into the men and their bodies haven't changed. Can we talk to the women who have birthed children?
That's what I'm saying.
But like Kalia's had a child, Brittany's had a child, the other Brittany's had a child. Let's talk to women whose bodies have changed, not to men whose gays.
So not to give too much information, me and my soulmate don't have children together. Okay. But my body has definitely changed since my 2 children, right? And I feel as though he loves me from head to toe. He's kissed them motherfucking stretch marks that I can feel. Okay. That little saggy piece, I done lost like damn near 60 pounds on top of it. So that little saggy piece that we got right there, that little kangaroo little situation that you be worried that ain't gonna go no fucking where.
Damn, Brittany, he eating.
Shit, hey, when we talk about eat, let me tell you just something, okay?
Jared like that spicy attitude.
Okay. And I have not had his child, like his actual child.
She said she got dessert for you, bro.
I feel like, hey, Daniel, I'm gonna beat your ass. I feel like it's some really like mama issues or something for a man to know and physically decide, like, you're gonna have my baby. We go through this baby making process and then you come out of it so naive that you think that she's just supposed to snap back prior to baby. And then now you want to be like, oh, it's been 12 weeks. You haven't even given her enough time to fucking recover. Like, what kind of shit is that? Your first doctor's appointment ain't till 6 weeks after you have a baby.
He said that WAP bounced back. Why you ain't bounced back?
But did it?
Not if you're one of the Darbies.
Okay.
None.
Now,
Rob.
the only reason I will play mildly devil's advocate, because I think this is freaking ridiculous. Everybody, unmute yourselves as you need to. But I wonder if like it's not 100% about the guy and more about like, depending on how like sort of shallow or unevolved or who he's been exposed to, whatever, society has made it seem like this is what like celebrity, there's a story when celebrities snap back from pregnancy. There's, there's people articles about it. So I understand what I guess men are saying. I think it's shitty, and I think they're shitty people if they decide that that's why they don't want to continue with you, or they no longer find you sexy. But I think what Isaac and even Rob have been saying is this is a reality, and they may not find that person sexy anymore, and they physically cannot be aroused or are no longer aroused by it, regardless of if they get fatter, which often happens, and women just are like, we go along with it because men can look like whatever the fuck, and we still, have relationships with them. So I think it's more about acknowledging that these are real scenarios, and it sucks, but I don't know. I don't have the answers.
No, Casey, I think you're going somewhere.
Two children.
Oh, hold on a second. I do want to hear what Omar is saying, though. You gotta.
No, I'm saying, Casey, you're going in the right direction, right? And I think you're making a great point.
I've had 3 glasses.
I think you're making. No, I honestly think you're making a great point. I think there are some people, which is probably like a small group of people, that's a thing for them. But I think for the majority of men, like men don't care. Most men, come on, men sleep with hookers, right? You know what I mean? You can get a disease or anything. You know what I mean? Like men go in raw dogging women that they know are unsafe. And you think if he sees stretch marks and he in the heat of the moment, he cares about stretch marks? Even Cat Williams says, like, men don't care if your bra and panties match. They're like, you could have on a Kmart bra set and panties. Like, a dude's gonna be like, snatch the shit off. He don't care if it's Victoria's Secret. Like, there are it's a subset of most men. But let's be honest, men are shallow when it comes to seeking sexual partners. They don't care about that stuff, right? Let's be honest. Most men, I've seen men do unthinkable things with women that you would just say, wow, that's what we're doing? That was a crackhead, right? You know what I mean? But now it's like stretch marks is out of the question, but a crackhead is acceptable. It's like, but she was a bad crackhead. But it's like, it's a crackhead, bro. Like, let's be honest at this point. So it's not like it's all these men that have all these standards, because it's not. Like, it's a small subset of men, and they are probably someone that's in the fitness. They probably work out, they're in the fitness. So their body's important to them. And so the woman body is important. And that's the only time I would see it come into play. But it's like, if you slept with a crackhead, don't tell me about stretch marks.
You know what I'm saying?
Do you remember what Cat Williams said? He said stretch marks are you were either little and you got big, or you were big and you got small. Like, it's just it's a body thing. And so like I'm honestly more interested.
Aisha, I'm neither of those things. And I've had stretch marks as long as I've been an adult. I've been thin my entire life, and I have stretch marks. I have no idea where they came from, but I don't give a shit. And if you give a shit, we shouldn't be together.
Honestly,
BBWs are the most watched videos on porn.
It's a really good filter.
With such superficial individuals.
Right?
Clarence, your internet was acting up.
Say it again.
It still is. I don't know what.
Okay, is that better?
Yeah, that's better.
Okay, thanks. Why are you dealing with such individuals that are superficial? Just out of curiosity, like, you didn't vet them properly?
Clarence, are you acting like you didn't body shame someone for 20 whole minutes? Like,
I didn't body shame them. I just simply said that, when I rubbed up against it, it wasn't where it needed to be.
See, okay. But what if he had an amazing personality, Clarence? You didn't talk about that.
I need that personality, but I need that, as you always say, guac, I need that in the bedroom to do what it needs to do. Otherwise, I'm gonna continue down this path of being celibate.
So Kalia, I know you are really into fitness and working out, and you're really like team. What is it called? They do like the really weird pull-ups.
CrossFit.
CrossFit, yeah, that's it. So like, how do you feel about birthing two human well-functioning children and like having casual sex? Does it ever come up for you?
It does, but it comes up for me as my own thing. So I'll kind of piggyback a little bit off of what Omar said, and it's true. Thankfully, I've never come across a guy like that in that meme. Thank goodness. Because I grew up being so active and athletic, and then when I had children, my body to me was just shot and not what I felt like a whole different person that I like physically just did not recognize. And so it definitely played a huge part into getting back into, after my divorce, getting back into the dating game and just feeling not as attractive and not as secure with my body. But I was the one that had it all built up in my head that I was going to be unattractive and that they were like, girl, get your ass over here. No, like literally did not give a shit.
And her body was amazing.
Right. I'm like, Kalia looks great.
So yeah, it's always been just my own, insecurities of, like Brittany was saying, I've got that little pouch. I had a C-section and I have done crunches till my fucking eyes popped out and that shit ain't going nowhere. But like, I've never come across a dude that gave two shits about my stretch marks and my kangaroo pouch. So.
And listen, this is the final question that we are going to end on. And, I told y'all in the early stages that, I'll play devil's advocate. And I do that on purpose, right? Because I know I'm going to say some shit that's going to be a little left field. But I also enjoy having the ability to challenge people, right? Like, because I didn't get an opportunity to fully go into it. But there was a point where I was recognizing that the reason why this, and I knew it when I saw the meme, that this particular conversation was going to have a visceral reaction. Any good person, any person that really cares about a person, any person that, as Aisha said, will literally lay down and not only have sex with a woman, but will bear a child. Like, if you find yourself in that space, like I was very much aware of the absurdity of the point that was attempting to be articulated. However, I think the space that I was trying to fit into is that I think men and women both find themselves in this space, right? Like, so with men, it can be a very physical oriented thing, right? And what was fascinating about this conversation is watching women defend that, which you all should have. But I know that there are some other scenarios that I could have thrown out there where you would have noticed a flip, right? Where like many women would have been like, oh yeah, clearly the man should have been doing that. But then men would have been like, oh no, man, she's supposed to know. It takes some time to be able to accomplish that. And you know what? I didn't have that perfect analogy to be able to be like, oh, well, this is like this. But I do understand that we all have these idiosyncrasies that are very indicative of not only what we like, but what we're attracted to and just how we move forward in life. And there comes a point, and even though I was saying it playfully, because obviously any dude that has a child with somebody and feels some kind of way about the way her body looks, like it is so bizarre for me that I personally cannot identify with it. But I also don't want to immediately move to a space where I say, just because this is what I feel attractive, or this is because what I, attach to, that everybody that feels this way about this thing are automatically, scum of the earth, right? Like we literally just put any person that feels some way. And here's the deal. I could have totally given you guys a different scenario. Could have totally given you guys a different scenario. It was a guy. Yeah, y'all had a couple of children. The woman is in the gym working out, but the guy is like, oh, I'm earning all the money, so I ain't got to worry about my body. And he looks up and he used to be chiseled, but after a couple of years, now he's got this patch. And now the woman, before she gives him oral sex, literally has to pull up, you know, his stomach. You know, like I could have played that scenario out differently, where even y'all might have been like, oh, well, no, y'all might have, but y'all wouldn't have been as visceral as y'all was with this shit. Oh, nah, a woman's body changed. And it's like, we get that, but like, there is a point where it's like, I bought into this thing, and now it feels like a bait and switch, right? Because we were both athletic, we were both filling one another out, and now you did it. Now, and here's the deal, I'm not that guy. I'm not that guy. So continue to ream that nigga. You know what I mean? It ain't me. I'm just saying, I'm trying to speak on his behalf. But last question, because we've been talking about 9/12, the day after, which is pretty much, what do you do the day after something occurs? And you're trying to figure it out, right? Like, you know, 9/11 happened, and the next day, it was all of us, one, coming into the awareness that we are not as protected and as safe as we thought we were, right? It was also, two, like, you know, oh shit, like everybody is kind of converging and we're trying to figure it out, you know, and there are times where a catastrophe occurs and you realize, damn, it's fucked up that it happened, but we got to pick up the pieces and we got to move on. So the last thing that I'm looking for is advice, right? Whether you were the one that broke up with someone, whether you were the one that got broken up with, we all at this age have had to determine, how do we move on, right? And I just feel like this would be pretty dope or pretty ratchet. I'll see what you all come up with. But what are some of the best ways to move on from a bad relationship? That is the last question I have from you, right? Like, we all had to figure out how to move on from 9/11. We knew after 9/11 life will never be the same, and we were all changed. After COVID, we're all going to be changed. There's something about a pivotal moment in life that occurs, whether it's traumatic or good, right?
Vic, my mom's advice, I know she's not watching this because she's like hella HGTV. Her advice was, the best way to get over one man is to get under another.
Get on top of another.
No, under.
totally
Put that weight on
disagree.
me. I'm on TikTok. Put that weight on me.
I feel like you should vary it up, under and over.
Under and over, whatever your preference is, but over.
That's the best way. And that can be moved around for men too. You know, if you
No,
have a hard
stop
breakup,
caping for them.
try use some
Brittany,
new-
Brittany, they have voices. Let them advocate for themselves.
Okay.
We're talking about
I
us.
mean, there's still
So
like
you get on
opportunity.
top of something new.
Ben and
Or
Jerry's
under.
in the notebook.
Self-reflect and find something new.
But you also
but
have
if
to
you-
do
if-
some
are we-
self-reflection and like some kind of you have to think about what went
Reflected
well.
after.
Well, no, I mean, you could do it during, hell, like whatever
Okay.
your preference is. But I mean, you're still gonna have to be in your feelings and have to come to terms with like what happened, you know, what your part was in it. Like, you know, you have to have that full evaluation, like
That's a therapy appointment. That's not while I'm having sex.
No, it doesn't have to be, but
It's
it
called
could be.
closure.
I mean, it depends. Everybody has a different kind of kink. I don't judge, you know.
Rob, you talking about closure, but like, I don't think you know how to spell it. What are you?
What's your last relationship? It
Damn.
sounds like you don't like relationships.
And Rob, a long time for you is 30 days. So
Right,
I don't think
hey.
you have a hard time moving on to some new WAP, as you call it. Okay.
Nah,
So
I really, up until this point, I ain't invest myself like that in people. So it wasn't about me trying to have to deal with that. I ain't invest myself like that.
So when you
You
say
sound like a multi-level marketing scheme. I didn't invest myself, but
Well, I
now
mean, you
I
got-
signed 3 people.
Daniel, you were making a point.
Oh, Tina kind of touched on it a bit. and that's just the self-reflection part of it all. But Aisha was also saying, like, you know, that's therapy and ain't had nothing to do with sex. I honestly think we you know, try to jump to the next thing to just try to fill a void. And to answer the question that Isaac asked, what's the best way to get over somebody? In my opinion, is solitude.
Yeah.
You need solitude so that you can digest everything, go through a period of introspection, figure out what you did wrong. You learn about yourself and the things that you would be willing to accept in a relationship and those that you won't. But you need that solitude to do that. If you just jump into a relationship with somebody else, you're not even over this last situation. So you bringing all your baggage on, and it's more toxicity transferring to somebody else, and you hurting more people. Just endless.
Daniel, you sound like you are available for solitude hiring. Like someone could hire you for a solitude consulting. You just actively getting the panties the whole time.
He sound like he out here choosing. He putting himself up to be.
I sound like a man with some experience.
What happens is I'm shooting the good ones down to him.
That is it.
But see, what's funny is Daniel was like, you know, Lex was making these awesome points the same way, but y'all didn't jump on him like he's trying to get the panties the way that y'all are jumping.
It's immediately. He was out here.
Daniel, you've been rocking with us for 7 years, bro. I'm not doing this with you, Daniel. You've been rocking with us for 7 years, and you've been the same smooth as fucking poetry ass nigga that is like, oh no.
Daniel, stop.
Y'all don't stop.
No.
Daniel.
Daniel, hey.
Bringing
I'm
Jesus
person that I
into
was.
it.
If you would have asked me this question,
hey.
If you would have asked me this question back when I first started rocking with Tequila Tales, I would not have been able to give you any answer about solitude because I never experienced solitude. All I did back then was jump right into something else. Like, so I'm gonna share something a little bit on the personal side. I'm not gonna share the exact number of women, but so my very first love was also a woman that I was engaged to, right? She was the first I'd done anything with. I was 20 with her. When that ended, I went through a lot of women in the span of a summertime.
I want a number because I don't believe you.
I'm not giving a number, but it was a lot of women in the summertime and going on multiple dates. And some of the dates would be like, oh, well, you know, we'll have one date and it'll turn into something after a couple of phone conversations.
Are we fucking or not? That's what they ask you. Are we fucking?
All types of stuff. But what it never did was get me over all of the emotions that I had toward my ex. Yep. It didn't do anything for that. And I was stuck on her for 5 years after we broke up.
Sound like Tyrese.
Because I never dealt with it.
Yeah.
Yo, I vibe with Daniel.
I do too.
Who said
I
you sound
appreciate
like
that too,
Tyrese?
Daniel.
I feel him because I'm gonna talk about it from an athletic standpoint. First of all, like we go and see our mental performance coaches and things like that because there are certain aspects to life that you have going on in addition to trying to get out there and win. And so if you're not in a mental space that is calm and clear or neutral or whatever you want to call it, then there's no way that you can step on the field of play and do what you need to do to win and ultimately get paid or whatever. And so when you think about it from a relationship standpoint, if you were dealing with X, Y, and Z from your prior encounters with people, whether you were in a relationship, a situationship, whatever, and now you're trying to transition into something more serious, now you bring in, to Daniel's point, you bring in everything that you had previously, and you're not able to 100% give whoever this person is, you're not able to 100% give yourself to whoever this person is. And that's doing them a disservice. Like they don't know what, like they're not getting the full you know what I'm saying? So It's just, yeah, I think that it's certainly something that, to answer the question, you need to assess, evaluate, really give yourself a chance to breathe, to learn yourself, to figure out the pros and cons, what you can do better moving forward, what you don't need to do. And then when that next opportunity presents itself, then you go in there swinging. I mean, it's at the end of the day, like life is a learning process. Like we're all learning, we're all growing and all developing. We should be growing and developing.
Right.
And,
Lex, that's beautifully said, but I'm just to let you know, when you getting over a breakup, it's all about the body count, right? like
right.
You once you hit a certain level, you forget about so and so. They become so and so. Once you hit a certain level, so maybe you didn't hit that magic number. Maybe you did. Then you didn't hit the magic number, right? It's probably like 2 people, right?
Yeah.
But if you think about like the Warren Beatty's of the world, what's his name, Derek Jeter, you know,
Warren Beatty.
Warren Beatty is so
but
random.
are we talking? Well, you talking about body count? Or you talking about trying to get over a previous situation? Like,
yeah, but I'm saying these are the people that were smashing people, right? When you think of, see, I use Warren Beatty because he was the first person. Well, he wasn't the first, but his body count was at like 12,000, right?
Stop.
Then you think about Will Chamberlain.
Chamberlain.
Yeah, you talk about Will Chamberlain. You think about Magic Johnson. You think about what's a guy named Derek Jeter, right? Who was solely responsible for supposedly
We're just going based on what
But
they
yeah,
say, right? Like,
But you use,
right.
you use it. My bad. You use the example of Magic Johnson. Like, I mean, it is what it is with him. But like he was what, in his 20s when he was doing all of the stuff that he was doing, and I feel like as a guy, the stereotype is like when you're in your 20s, you are out there.
Oh,
Well,
and the thing is, but I was just saying this is the easiest way to get over a breakup, because actually that was some advice someone gave to me, because it was a girl that broke my heart, right? And he says, man, the quickest way is just surround yourself with a lot of women. And I did that, and you know, I got over it.
That's okay. That's a band-aid, and
Is
that's
it? But is it the
That's how
easiest?
you-
That's the easiest. And he did say the easiest way, but is it the healthiest way?
Right. Thank you.
Right.
Thank you, Lex.
Come on.
Yeah.
Therapy.
There is no right or
Therapist is
wrong way.
waiting.
It's no right or
Right.
wrong way to get over
Stop.
any
You're
heartbreak.
lying.
Right?
There is
Nah,
a right or wrong
you're gonna
way.
end up
There's
in,
a lot of wrong ways.
you're gonna end up
people
investing in one of them
something?
too much more than a friend, and then you're
He's
gonna
gonna
have
end
more
up on 90
problems.
Day Fiance.
You know what? But the thing
Oh.
is, if it turns your tears into cheers,
What?
that period.
Oh my God.
Presenting
Oh,
tears.
It
Oh,
just
yeah.
delays them.
That's what Big Mama said. Big Mama.
Big
Oh,
Mama is not a
stop.
trusted source.
Tears and the
Have to
tears.
stop.
All right, I
Okay,
feel like
wait.
Big Mama is you. I don't feel like there is a Big Mama. I think it's just you saying things.
No, Big Mama gives a
And he
lot of
blames
like
her.
legit
Oh my
advice.
God.
You
Where
know
is your
your
woman?
responsibility.
Big Mama.
She's
doesn't
from the
have
South.
What state though?
Omar blames the black woman for
Mississippi.
catching this.
What
She's from
part of
Mississippi.
Mississippi? We need to drill down into where Big Mama's from for you.
Big Mama don't exist.
wait, we're
Big
getting
Mama
off- we're
is
getting off
wherever
subject.
Omar is.
Big
Brittany,
Mama like Martin.
His grandmother has been passed before he was born.
Big Mama migrated from the South after slavery, and she came here to work. And
No, but really,
You over here
she
talking
would
about
sell hair
ancestors.
products. She would sell hair products
To-
and stuff. Like,
Isaac,
she's legit.
to answer your question about like I think it was like the best way or like tools to get over someone or something like that. I think it's best to cut them off as much as you possibly can. Like, I think what often happens is we will try to remain friends or be cordial or whatever the case may be. And that's nice and it sounds good, but you have a mourning period or you have a period where it can start to get gray. And me and my girlfriends have talked about this where I actually had an ex and we broke up and it was very tragic for me. It's what he wanted. And it was like, but our friendship was so dope. And it's like, when he wanted to continue to be friends, it was confusing for me because I was like, okay, well, if I keep being friends with him, he's going to remember how awesome it was and we're going to get back together. And that's total bullshit. So for your own well-being, for your own peace of mind, I think it's best to cut that person off until you're in a space where you can be friends with them again. Like, we're able to be friends now. So I think if I were going to pass anything on to someone else, it would be to cut the cord.
Yeah.
Wait a
I
minute.
think like I feel like it's a culmination of things. So what you were saying, Casey, of cutting it off, And I wholeheartedly agree with Daniel as far as solitude and therapy. Those are the three things that I had to do when it came to getting over, the death of my marriage. And just my therapist had to get me to realize, like, that is a death. You need to grieve it. You need to work through it. And I did that same thing to where, like, we were, we were married, we were cool or whatever. And I needed to make that line clear and to cut that off, like, as far as our relationship, because for years the lines were real skewed, and I would just, whenever we were together or whatever, I would always answer that phone with an open heart, just thinking, okay, maybe this time he'll realize how amazing I am. And then, you know what I mean? And so it was like super fucked up and like dysfunctional on like a lot of different ways. And so just like cutting that off, to the point where, like, my therapist literally made me sit down. Part of my homework was sitting down and writing down all of the negative things that I had been through with this person. And he's like, before he calls, before you, whatever, read that list and remind yourself of what that person is capable of. Because I just hold on to all the good stuff. And then just that solitude. And that solitude is like, I get why a lot of people don't want to do that. That shit's hard, and especially after having had a family and kids, when you're just used to having people around all the time and being in a family and being in a relationship, and then going to a home that is it's just you and your shit, and you have to like work through it and deal with it. And that shit's hard. Like, the silence was like deafening, but on that other end is like a really good, like, right now I'm in the space where I'm like the happiest I've ever been. And it's really cool because then when it comes to dating, it's a much different perspective, because if I'm dating someone and it's cool, but if it doesn't work out, I'm cool. Like I was cool before you showed up, and now I'm good, as opposed to before. So yeah, so I vote for therapy, solitude, and guys.
Yeah, I'll bring you some.
Okay.
I have a
Aisha, you need to mute yourself.
Well, actually, we are even beyond the space of where we were supposed to be, right? Because Aisha, in the conversations that we were having, we was like, you know what? We keep saying we're going to do these from 8 to 10. We need to go ahead and like relegate them to just being 2 hours. And here we are 3.5 hours in. This is some reckless shit. So I'm about to pull the plug on this shit. I will say, however, before I pull the plug, God damn it, I don't know if people understand that it is a task to do this. And if you are still watching this shit right now at 11:30 Central, but if you're watching it in whatever New York time is, Eastern, God damn it, it's 12:30. And even if you in Mountain or the other shit, it's late as fuck. I just need y'all to understand, if y'all loving it, then just go ahead and contribute. But if not,
no amount too small, Ike. You on that telethon shit?
No amount too small, no amount too big. But I just want to put it out there, right? Because that's what this virtual shit is. However, we are about to wrap. And I honestly, wholeheartedly, just want to share how appreciative I am of all of you guys. Right? Like, it's so much shit I want to say. It's so much shit I want to put out there that I just can't because
you're drunk.
Timing.
I have to pick up Big Mama too, Ike. Don't forget.
Did the motherfucker really just call me out? You said I was drunk? I am far from drunk.
It's okay. You're probably gonna go find your song tonight, so you can heal.
However, okay. I will share this much, right? I will share this much. This is important for me to share during this period. It may or it may not resonate. I've completely and absolutely loved these virtual tequila tales, right? It was not something that was by design. I did not intentionally sit up and design and say, oh man, we need to do this. COVID, I feel, threw everybody into a ringer. I just had to tell a close friend earlier today. Anybody that acts like they know what the fuck is going on is completely lying. I don't care who you are. No one can tell you what's gonna happen next month. No one can tell you what's gonna happen 3 months from now. Certainly not 6 months from now, in a year from now, right?
Tell that to Nostradamus.
Exactly, right. Or the people that write for The Simpsons, right? Because they seem to keep getting that shit
right.
They keep nailing it, right? But for most of us, we're all in this space where we're trying to pivot and figure it out, right? And I feel like there's pros and cons with that. The pro is it does force you to be present minded. It does force you to be completely in the moment and to even just accept the reality that we don't know what's happening. We don't know how this is going to play out, right? And so that's been something that's been unique for me. The flip side, however, has been understanding how much anxiety is totally baked into this moment, right? Like not knowing what the fuck is going to happen, right? Like think about how many vacations you had planned for this year. Think about how much shit you thought you was going to do until February or March happened. And now like vacations that you've been planning and paying on for months or years, you cannot go on. And yeah, we may feel a certain degree of mild comfort right now, but do you really feel comfortable putting 5-10 stacks down on a vacation in 2021? Like, don't none of us know what the fuck is happening, right? And so again, comes with pros and cons, but the major thing that I just want to share is like Tequila Tales had a plan for this year.
Europe.
We had to sharply deviate. Like, the deviation has been honestly kind of beautiful because as much as I enjoyed the live shows of Tequila Tales, this virtual space, you know, it's different, but it's also dope, right? Like, and I can't share enough how much it means to me to see so many dope people hopping in this discussion and just vibing and, you know, even people online sharing shit because this was not a part of our plan. But it just shows how important I think what Tequila Tales represents means, which is open communication. Well, not even just open communication, period. The ability to be able to share your authentic thoughts, emotions with someone else, and them also to be able to receive it. And so, while I may play devil's advocate, honest to God, all of you guys are fucking dope. And that's honestly the thing that I want to end on is just how amazing I think all of you all are, how humbling the experience has been. And this specific week has changed things for me because 2020, I've been I don't even know the appropriate way to say it, but like I've been feeling a little lost in 2020. Even while marching through and doing certain things, I've been feeling lost all of 2020 until this week. It took the sun to be in Virgo for me to be able to understand, okay, I see where this shit is going, and I'm hella excited. So I ain't gonna say nothing else, but thank all of you guys. I appreciate all of you all. I love all of you all. I hope all of you all are vibing with us. But just know, oh, what you got? What you got? Oh, you want me to put this shit one more time? You want to put it one more time? Is that what?
Okay. I mean, you could put it up if you want. Aisha, if you could, while he's showing the way to shamelessly get money from people, if you could talk about the Facebook group really quick.
Oh, yes. I was going to say that, but Aisha needs to do it, though.
Yeah.
Well, I don't have a script. I'm so unprepared. So this evening's been powered by Babe Rosé. No big deal. Hashtag Babe Rosé. Sorry. No, I'm joking. Tina gave me these drinks like 2 weeks ago. I've just been like guzzling them because we're living in a dystopian nightmare So we have a link pinned in the comments of the live right now, and it's for the Facebook group. This is a way for us to all keep the conversation going. Everyone is welcome. The main rule is respect. Act like you've had a nice thing before, just one nice thing. That's all we ask. But yeah, go there, add the group, and we want to keep the conversation going. We have such a good time on here in the live and on the chat for the live, having these really, I would say, like, vibrant conversations. Also, everyone should still be quarantining through the end of the year. I know you're over this pandemic, but the pandemic is not over. So it's the perfect outlet for you to have to go and have a conversation, reach out to people, feel like you have some semblance of normalcy, but like also it's social distance approved. You don't even need a mask to conversate with people. I honestly know that conversate is not a word.
Now, I think Webster added it.
They added it because of Beyonce's power, but conversate is not a word.
Please say the
It's a word.
thing.
It's a word.
No.
At one point in time, ink wasn't a word also.
It's a verse. But like, if you wanna keep this conversation going and tell Rob that he's literally trash or a fuckboy, let's hop in the comments. If you want to go to Daniel and tell him that he can have your panties, hop in the conversation.
Not everybody wears panties though. So
everyone doesn't wear panties. That's cool. If you want to go on a date with Kalia and you're like, I know how to go home, hop in the conversation. If you want to talk to Britt about all of the advocating she's doing on Leafly for parents who have cannabis, because you were like, oh my God, I had 1 week of online school with my kid and I don't know what strain of cannabis to calm myself down because I don't know how like to do algebra. Like,
I have all those questions.
Go to the comments. I don't have kids, but if you're just like, bitch, I want to talk to you about how the Hennessy hits different when you hit it a little different. Anyway, we have it pinned in the comments. Add yourself to the group. The conversation will keep going. If you're really interested in any of the stuff we've been talking about tonight, I'm most interested in Rob being a fuckboy. It's been interesting to hear him talk about it. Lex is a whole ass Olympian. He calls himself regular, and I'm just like, make it make sense.
He's just humble.
It's humble, but it's also like Lex.
What about how you fucked up that popsicle?
Listen.
Oh.
It's not a popsicle.
It's an ice cream bar.
It was an Oreo eclair.
Oh, do they call it something different on the West Coast?
They do.
I just want us to normalize. I want us to normalize substance, please, because apparently I can't have it without trying to get some panties. So.
Daniel, I got your back.
It's a good contrast to Rob the fuckboy.
What he's saying is if you are going to give him your panties, please have substance. He needs to be able to converse with you.
But also, if y'all want to talk about Clarence and his kind of body shaming, but also having a preference, let's keep this conversation going. Because I called it body shaming, but Clarence was like, you just didn't motivate me when you pushed up on me.
I feel so bad now.
Don't feel bad.
You know,
it's okay,
my doctor
Clarence.
told me that you only need 3 inches to technically.
Your doctor fucking lied.
I need at least 6.
And I said, who needs 3 inches? That's not me. But that's just what my doctor said.
Clarence, it's all right, man. Clarence, it's okay.
You should touch that thing in the back of my throat.
Is this the late night chat?
This is the after hours. Clarence, it's okay. You have your preferences, as Rob said, and Big Mama said to each his own.
Stop.
Right?
Right.
I think we leave it at that. We leave it at that.
Thank you, Aisha, for telling us about the Facebook group. Ike, are we wrapping up?
Oh, already wrapped. This is just some after shit.
We just talking shit at this point.
We just talking shit.
Did Big Mama get her back blown out, or what is her credentials? Because I don't believe her.
She's gonna lose her job at Payless if I don't go pick her up.
My big mama kept a damn dildo in the bed with her. I found it by accident.
What I'm about to do is end this stream before we get canceled. So you guys, once again, thank you for tapping into the Tequila Tales.
Say, can you add the Venmo one more time? We have one request for the Venmo for Tequila Tales.
You know what? And the fact that you even just asked me to do that and I already had it queued up, bam, there you go. I want to thank everyone for participating, and honest to God, I mean that shit. I'm not even just saying it like this is not a thing that happens enough. I'll put it like that. We're not the only people that are doing it. I don't think we're that special. I just think that it needs to happen more. And so I'm such a fan of when I see it occur. And I'm such a fan of anyone that participates in this, because it ain't even about changing the narrative. I don't give a fuck about what the other people think about us. I need us to see that this is normalized, right? Like that we can have these kinds of engaging discussions. We can disagree. We can be a little ratchet, but like where you just understand that these are people who identify with the same kind of either content or just things that I feel are relevant or important. And so every time that we have these discussions, it means so much to me. And you know, obviously that just helps us keep it going. But regardless, thank you for giving us your attention, and thank everyone for participating in this call. We'll be back. And you know, I hate to sound cliche, but I love you guys. I love you all. And until the next time.
And that's in the group chat. Let's go to the Facebook group. Do you think Rob is a fuckboy, yay or nay?
You can do a poll on me also. I want to see what they
Okay,
say.
also we're gonna have a poll on Rob being a fuckboy, because he said long term was 1 month. And Clarence is like, I don't feel you, so you don't exist.
I can't.
I love it.
And Clarence is trying to figure out if he like legit body shamed or just like medium body shamed.
Right.
Like I really am trying to figure that out because it's not me.
He gonna go back and watch the stream. Like, wait a minute,
Clarence,
I fucked up.
You can have a preference. We all have a preference on all of this.
Thank you, because I truly do have a preference.
No, Casey. Clearly, we don't have a preference because y'all don't like it. If a nigga don't like stretch marks, that's all I'm gonna say. It's time for us to go.
Hey, Charles, to the bullshit.
Hey,